To another episode of OG55 live. In this video, we're going to talk a little fake grass at Disneyland. We're going to talk Magic Key discounts. We're going to talk about this Disney Prime is what they're calling it, membership. We're going to talk about a host of things. It is great to be going live again today. Thanks for joining us. OG55 going live. Welcome back to OG55 Live. We have a lot to talk about today, but before we dive right in, I want to introduce my co-host, my producer, host of the Freshly Squeezed show here on OG55, Mr. Vash Guy, Dre. Welcome back, my man.
Hey, I am happy to be back. It's like I never left. It's like hey, you know what? Let's talk about some grass. Let's go live. And it's like, that's fantastic. I love it. I love how these shows are shaping up. And it looks like our audience is loving it too. So that is great. That is fantastic. Well, we'll get the pleasantries out of the way. If you want to go ahead and follow me, go ahead and do so right down there at Vash Sky. A little bit, we're having a little bit, what is it? A giveaway if we get over 1,000 there. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. We will have more details about that soon for you guys. And hey, if you want to see me, well, it's going to be on the channel you're watching right now at Orange Grove 55 at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juice, news, and info squeezed fresh right from the Grove.
But really nothing compares with a freshly squeezed.
Love that drop.
All right, love it too. Well, Showcase requested it, so we got to do it.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
There we go. There we go. It's official. We are officially live. Now, to kind of kick the show off, we did a video earlier today where we really dove into this like artificial turf that Disneyland is starting to install around the park.
Yes.
But we got a super chat during that video, and it was actually a premiere. It wasn't a live video. And sometimes there is some confusion sometimes with that because these premieres, they do look live. So I wanted to kind of address a super chat we got in that video because I was unable to respond like this in that one. So we're going to address it, talk about it, and kind of go on from there.
Of course. Cool.
And super chat was from our friend Captain John D. John D, thank you so much, sir, for the generous donation to the channel. We appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. He says here, Dre is spot on. It's all about operating cost and labor. The turf looks great in my humble opinion. I wouldn't be able to tell if it wasn't pointed out. Great discussion, guys. Again, Captain John D, thank you so much for the super. Dre, basically, John is saying here that, you know, you were spot on. The operating cost and labor is what this is all about. I tend to agree as well, but anything to add to this or?
Well, yeah, a couple things actually. First off, Captain John D, like I gave this gentleman a shout out at the tail end of Citrus Corner, but I wasn't able to do the because he had previously super chatted during our last live stream. I wasn't able to compliment this guy, but Captain, I included at the end the previous Citrus Corner, but I wanted to go ahead and just say again, thank you so much for the super chat here on the channel. But also too, your work on your YouTube channel is look, it's spicy, but it is pretty. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty funny. So I just wanted to go ahead and give you some compliments there for sure. But anyway, look, it's interesting about the grass comment. Go ahead and share my screen real fast there. This is Sam Carter on Twitter here. Again, I got to thank Showcase of Wishes here. He helped a little bit behind this show, so I got to give him the credit there. If you look at this grass here, we didn't have a close-up shot before. We do now. It's pretty realistic. You know, it's I mean, if you get up on it, it's really difficult to see that anything out of the ordinary exists outside of just a grassy kind of knoll there or lawn, or so to speak. You can kind of see that the blades are a little bit like, they're squared off. They're maybe not naturalistic to a point, but honestly, you got to get really close to even determine that. So listen, it is about operating costs, right? It is about utilizing less energy, whether that be water, labor, or so forth, right? But the way they're going about it, at least for now, is really high quality stuff. But like I said before, I just worry about what the overall implications of a move like this is, because this is not where it stops. This is where we continually progress down some kind of low use water mode, which is not necessarily a bad thing unless it affects the guest experience. And this is just kind of one area in which it could, right? So this is a shot from LMG Vids on YouTube here, from his YouTube channel. Amazing YouTube channel, by the way. He does a lot of great recordings of Disney attractions and so forth. Definitely check him out. But you can see this kind of riverbank here. This was a shot taken, I believe, in 2020, so it was like probably January, February, March, that kind of area before the parks actually shut down. And you can see how overgrown this area is. Could use maybe a little bit of a trimming, but you can kind of just see the vegetation in this area. Well, recently, it looks like this. It's a little bit of a difference. Same spot, same area.
Are those the same plants, by the way? If go back, are those the same? They're just new. Are there baby versions of those, or?
I think they're just really trimmed. I think that's what that is. You can see the mountain lines right here. That's how you kind of know that that's the same area. But I mean, it is. It is. I mean, they definitely took out some vegetation. Now, my suspicion, and this is kind of why I include this in the tweet, and kind of why I said this before, and this is what I wanted to include, but didn't have quite enough time to get into it in that format. It seems to me what happened during the shutdown was some plants died, became diseased. They just weren't taken care of properly, and that's I can't. Of course, you can fault the company for that, but I can't fault it too badly, because this was a very kind of horrific time with liquidity issues, cash flow. How much do you want to necessarily dedicate towards the maintaining of plants when you're not earning any revenue and stuff like that. Like I get why some of this stuff happens. But I believe some of these plants died. Now, it might not have been due to the company's... it might not have been completely their fault. It might have been... irrigation failure in this area here. And I believe that's part of the motivation for why we're seeing work in this area right now, is to correct some of those issues. Maybe install maybe low water plants and so forth. But it's just one of those things. And I understand the connection is slightly tenuous, right? But it's these kind of things that kind of worries me, because Disneyland has always been known as kind of very park-like in its atmosphere, its setting, its old-growth trees and so forth. To see some of this erode away like this, and we saw a little bit with Pirates of the Caribbean queue with those trees. We saw a change of trees, like I said, in front of Pim's Test Kitchen. We've seen some trees maybe not look the healthiest or the best that they've looked in prior years. I just worry about some of this. It's declining by degrees, and it erodes a little bit of the of the park magic, let's say, which the horticultural team previously in previous years has been very, very good at maintaining.
Do you think, though, that this is kind of a move? Because when you showed the picture from earlier, it was really overgrown.
Yeah.
It is like, that's crazy. You can barely even see the mountain lions through all that. Is it possible that maybe they're planting younger plants and spacing them out to accommodate for that expected growth? So you're kind of seeing it, you know what I'm saying? Like when they're newly planted, so it's going to be smaller, and they're planting them further away, so it can kind of like accommodate for that expected growth later on. Not necessarily that they maybe took plants out. They're just smaller and they're just, you know what I'm saying? These are obviously younger than the ones that from the other picture is what I'm trying to say.
It's hard to say what happened here exactly because I haven't had really solid information in regards to this kind of whole area and this kind of whole thing. If I had any more, I definitely would share it. It could be that they're replacing plants. I mean, some of these trees are over 50 years old. Trees have a lifespan and so forth, and shrubbery and all that's included in there. It's weird how we're seeing so many changes to plant life now. We really haven't seen it on this scale at this singular time in the resort's history. Hey, perhaps they all kind of expired at the same time. It's possible. It's possible that they're changing out trees, like you said, in order to adjust the growth of this area, right? I mean, it was overgrown. There was definitely some pruning that needed to be done.
Yeah.
To this extent, I'm not sure.
And we know all about that in California. And that's one of the big reasons why we have these wildfires is there's no forest management. And that's a big thing out here in California. In Newsom, I'm telling you, that's a big deal out here. And I think that's a part of the equation with this stuff, especially rivers of America, when you have all this overgrowth. They definitely have to maintain that and cut some of that back, maybe take some of the older stuff out, put younger stuff in. I do think there also is an effort to do this whole water conservation thing that ties into the AstroTurf and what have you. So I think there's a lot of factors at play here. I do want to say, I want to give a big thank you to Theme Park Casual down below for the super chat. Thank you so much, Casual. We appreciate you, brother. And subscribe to his channel. He does great theme park content as well. But Theme Park Casual says, to get the party started, safe travels, George. For those of you not aware, our friend and brother George, Disney Family Man 23, is going to be heading down to Cali pretty soon. So that's what Mr. Casual is referring to. Now, Natalie.
Love Theme Park Casual.
Oh, yeah. Casual is awesome. I love Casual and I love George. Natalie Barani is saying, it looks real from afar. When I put in artificial grass during the last big drought, my neighbors made snide remarks, quote, nice lawn, end quote, until I pointed out it's fake. Natalie, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. Natalie was actually in the Hey Bricky live stream the other day.
Hey, Bricky, I love that. Oh, that's fantastic. Got a lot of love in that chat, by the way. Just a lot of love. I love the I guess the Hey Bricky fans out there. Just good people.
Really awesome. Great channel. And Bricky is phenomenal. He is absolutely phenomenal. Really, really creative, brilliant work over there. But Natalie, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, look, they swapped out the storybook grass around the what do they call that? Yeah, the big storybook letters.
Yeah, the storybook letters, the kind of mound there. Yeah.
Right. I don't know what the official word is for that little thing, but they swapped that grass out back in July. I've been to the parks a few times since then, and I passed by that area and I've looked at that area and I didn't notice anything different. It never caught my eye as like, oh, that's fake now. It just looked like a grassy knoll like it did before. So this fake grass that Disney is installing is definitely high end for sure. And when they kind of weave in those kind of dead pieces a little bit, like we showed you in the close up, oh, chef's kiss. It really does look really, really good. I am impressed. I really am impressed.
And I am very impressed too. They did a great job with that, and it was a good move to go with a high quality what is it? A high quality material. Great stuff.
Yeah. And our friend Wildest Ride says, what's up to Showcase and Showcase only? There you go.
Wildest is
in the house.
He's great, man. He is quite the character. Respect the guy to death. Yeah, massive love from the OG55 Associated Family, Showcase, Wildest, Glimpses, all that. So George, absolutely. Casual, everybody.
Absolutely. All right, should we pivot to our next topic?
Yes, pivot we shall. Pivot we shall. I just want to go ahead and just wrap those things up there. Next kind of story here, and again, we kind of touched on it in a previous video with regards to the Walt Disney World 30% off discount, but apparently they are extending this to Disneyland Magic Key holders. This 30% off kind of limited time run here between September 21st through October 14th. Magic Key holders can unlock savings of 30% on select merchandise at certain Disney-owned and operated locations across Disneyland Resort. This information comes from Walt Disney World News Today. Just to give them credit. Also, too, the last image was from was from Fresh Baked as well. So, just want to go ahead and get the credit out there. This is Wildest. Now, speaking of Wildest, actually. He has suggested a bit in private convos that I've had with him that this is kind of normal for Disney to have these kind of merchandise discounts. I don't remember them being so aggressive. I don't remember them having such a kind of recurring schedule, like, between the summer and fall every single year. It's a little bit odd, no, that we're getting such deep discounting, especially with some of the maybe merchandise issues that we pointed at before in previous shows. OG, what do you think about this?
Well, I got to be completely honest. I don't follow the discounting too closely, so I'm like you. I don't really recall year to year. But I will say this: it wouldn't surprise me if it was a new thing, just because we just heard Chapek talk at that quarterly earnings how the Magic Key is, the unfavorables, right? Because they're not spending a lot of money. Well, I mean, this would be the logical next step. If you have a group of people not spending a lot of money, what do? You incentivize them to spend money. And how do you incentivize them to spend money? Is you provide bigger discounts. You try to nudge them along a little bit, spend a little, right? So I think that might be a factor here with this. I don't know. I think that's definitely a possibility. I mean, they're trying to entice these key holders to spend a little more money at the parks, and maybe they do. And we saw at that quarterly earnings that Chapek wasn't too happy with that. So I could see them definitely addressing that, and this would definitely be a way for them to address that. You're on mute, sir.
I suppose. Yeah, I'm not saying that's look. Your speculation is as good as mine, basically. I mean, I truly don't know what is impacting the decision making when it comes to this kind of stuff. I believe Wildest in the chat actually said something interesting. It seems like there's not a lot of demand to meet the supply. I do agree with that, Wildest, and there's an interesting thing when it comes to that conversation, which we'll get into in a topic coming up here on the show. But we have seen some kind of weird things regarding merchandise. We talked about it in previous shows, but to kind of just reiterate, we're seeing merchandise, uncharacteristic merchandise pop up in some of these kind of highly themed areas, like Cars Land, for example. Like you said, OG, you had a mug that was destined for Tokyo actually being sold at Oswald's on Buena Vista Street. Thought that was very curious. We've just been seeing, I guess, some weird stuff regarding the merch situation at these various parks. Now, look, supply chain issues have been kind of an issue. So if you make a order for something, it might be delayed, and as a result, maybe you felt that you were going to have a certain amount of merchandise at a certain time, whereas you didn't, and then you have just a deluge or just too much merchandise at a time that you didn't expect. So maybe this is actually impacted. This kind of decision is impacted by some of those outside forces or factors that we don't know about. It's just weird, is all I'm saying. Go ahead, OG.
Yeah, I think they're trying to stimulate. I think they're trying to incentivize people just to spend more money, and really the whole thing about these lands sort of taking on generic merch has kind of been a thing for a while, though, to be fair to Disney. Because my mom was saying, like, when she went to Frontierland in the 50s, you could buy cowboy boots, cowboy hat. It was very Western. Now you go in there and it's like, they're selling Little Mermaid bubble wands,
Yeah.
So that kind of evolution with the merch has kind of been a thing for a long time, unfortunately. And I think a lot of these lands, like if you take, for example, Cars Land, there really isn't any new Cars movie out there. Cars 3 now has long behind us.
Right.
The new show hasn't premiered on Disney Plus yet. So it kind of just makes sense, I think, to kind of fill those stores in with other merch if there's really nothing marketable right now for Cars Land. So I think that is a part of this equation as well, with finding these merch items in these stores that maybe were dedicated to something else before, you know.
Yes, we have been seeing that across lands for a while now, and it's unfortunate because I'd like us to get back to a time when we had the cowboy boots at Frontierland, or some of these specialty merchandise opportunities at these various locations. I think, one of the best stores that does this very, very well, I thought, at Disneyland Resort today was the Bazaar at Adventureland. I thought that I think that store is kind of like, it's a good mix of Disney exclusive kind of merch, and it's kind of themed to kind of Adventureland, Animal Kingdom kind of thing, but it's also got some kind of exclusive merch that you can't really find anywhere else. I think that strikes a good balance there. I wish other merchandise opportunities across the resort would kind of reflect that a little bit more, take on some of that merchandising or retail philosophy, but c'est la vie. It's just kind of interesting, and that goes into another point here, which I'm debating on whether or not I should get into that now or later. I think we should get into it now, because I think this is very interesting.
Let's do it.
Gotta do it live. We gotta do it live. Okay, here we go.
Live.
So Braden from Mickey Views had a very interesting video where he was attempting to track the construction progress of Tron. And he heard the whistle of the Walt Disney World Railroad in the background. It was a pretty cool kind of little thing there. But during that video, he noticed something very interesting, and I want to go ahead and bring the audience's attention to. Sure. So let me go ahead, bring that up right now.
Absolutely.
Two parts to this. So there's one part of this video that's very interesting, another part that's very interesting. So I'll let this play.
Go on one of these days where the park closes at 6 p.m. because if you're someone who cares about rides, right now you could be hitting up a ton of rides. I did the People Mover 6 times so quickly because everything's a walk-on right now. Look at this, it's 9:33 a.m. The park has been open for an hour and a half, and we have a 35-minute wait on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. The highest wait in the park, we have something that's 45 minutes. That's at the Main Street Theater for the meet and greet. Look at everything else though. Space Mountain 20, I bet you that's a walk-on. 5555. This is pretty wild. Definitely go on a party day even if you don't have a party ticket, and just come really early in the morning, do rope drop, hang out till 6 p.m. You will hit up every ride easily. Look at this. That is wild.
Now that was a little bit uncharacteristic, but he goes on and continues a little bit with his analysis of what might be going on here. Initially he was thinking, well, maybe it's because it is a party night, and it could be. I'm not suggesting that it's not, but then the day continued on, and it continued to be very, very light, so his analysis changed a little bit.
We're definitely getting out of the summer crowds here. And on the last earnings call, Disney made reference to international guests returning. And obviously guests from the UK, they spend a lot at Walt Disney World, so Disney is counting on that here for this current quarter, it seems like, that delayed pent-up demand as international travel returns. Maybe pent-up demand is waning here in America, but with international travelers, Disney is definitely counting on that. But now you look at the UK, and energy prices are soaring. There's all these different factors going on where we might see depressed turnout, where all that international travel Disney's counting on might not go according to plan. And on top of that, it seems like demand is waning in general. Disney has now increased for a limited time the merchandise discount for annual pass holders to 30%, as well as reintroduced hotel discounts for annual pass holders. You don't discount your hotels and your merchandise that severely if you have all this excess demand and you're turning away guests because it's so busy, as Disney likes to make it out to be. That's how they're making it sound on the last earnings call. That's how they make it sound on, there's a Wall Street Journal article really recently with Josh D'Amaro. They make it sound like the parks are super busy, and that is not the case here on the ground currently.
So I wanted to go ahead and play you that because I thought it was very interesting. A lot of people had been noticing this. A lot of Walt Disney Worlders have been noticing the kind of lower than expected crowds, let's say, during this time. OG, what do you think about this? Is this endemic of something larger, or is this just kind of what is it? Maybe just a fluke week?
It's hard to say. It really is hard to say. I think that there's a lot of things. I think there is sort of a general slowing down around this time because you're dealing with the summer coming to an end, and you also have it's like kind of that sweet spot, right? Like right between like the summer's ending and then the holidays are kind of starting. So it's kind of like right there. I think that's a big factor. I think Tron is a factor. I mean, look, if you're booking vacations right now, are you going to book now when Tron's going to be potentially open in a few months, or are you going to wait a few months and book that vacation when the new ride's open? I think that has to come into play here to some degree. I think you're going to wait. You know, why not wait for that? You know, so that's a factor. Wildest ride here, our buddy Wildest says Magic Kingdom, the park that attracts the most people in the world, is dead on those days. I can't imagine they're making less money than they would after hours instead. So that's interesting.
Yeah. I think he was pointing out in the chat, it's like, why bring the after hours parties back when you have this kind of when you're in the era of yield management, when you're constricting people to the extent you are via the reservation system and so forth. And we did hear that the reservation system was supposed to alleviate this problem, right? That was supposed to balance out and spread out the demand so that, you know, when you have your peak times, you can kind of shift those into areas where you necessarily wouldn't be that busy. Well, apparently, I don't think that's working as expected or as was touted, let's say, by some of these executives. But go on here. You were bringing up Alia's chat here?
Oh, yeah. Alia says, I really don't think that Disney cares that the parks are empty-ish. They would prefer to have less people who spend money versus a lot of people who don't. I agree with you, Alia. I mean, I do think that they don't. I've always said this, and this relates really more to Disneyland. I'm much more familiar with Disneyland Resort, but bodies in the park, just for the sake of bodies in the park, does Disney no good. It does them absolutely no good to have a park full of key holders that spend no money. It just doesn't. They would much rather have less people and have the people that are there spending more. It's a thing, and it just is. Now, in terms of Florida, I'm not as familiar with their crowd flows year to year, month to month, you know, to be fair. But what do you think about this, Dre, in terms of like Disney's preference to sort of have these parks, you know, maybe not as packed, but making more money off of each guest?
Well, it's a tricky balance. As we saw with Six Flags recently, he got exactly what he wanted. He got less people, and he did get more money. And yet the stock tanked because everybody's like, "Uh-oh, how sustainable is this?" There was a 20% decline in attendance, actually, which made for a very pleasurable experience if you did make it into the park, even though everything was very much more expensive than it was before. But this kind of premiumization effort that Salim Basul talks about over there at Six Flags, I mean, that kind of, you know, it did reflect in investors saying, well, wait a minute, you know, if you don't have crowds, where's that money coming from? Marty Snyder makes a good point here also in the chat. It's like, hey, you don't need Genie Plus if standby is 25, 30 minutes. No one's buying racers if standby is 25 minutes. Exactly. It's like, you do need some kind of threshold of people in the parks. You don't want it to be completely empty. Now, I understand. I do agree with you, OG, that the people that you want in the park, you definitely want to. It's better that park guests spend twice as much and take up half the room, right? I think that is better. But there is kind of a point. Remember, I talked about that bell curve on a previous show, where if it's too low, then spending is decreased in terms of attendance levels, and too high, that you have the same phenomenon but for different reasons. So it's just kind of one of these kind of things here that you know, we'll have to keep watching this situation and kind of see how it develops, because I asked Showcase before the show, hey, you know, do you have maybe some wait times that we can compare for today? Because today is really Labor Day weekend, and what I was thinking that maybe this is just the lead up to Labor Day weekend. Maybe crowds go real light because everybody is kind of everybody's kind of pushing towards the Labor Day weekend kind of visitation pattern, which you can actually see that reflected here in this graph here. I guess today, Thrill Data tracked some wait times today, and they were much more, let's say, they were much more conventional, right? and this is a big step here because a couple days ago, if we were getting like 10-minute waits for every single attraction at Disney Hollywood Studios. That is unheard of. This park has to turn so many people away. It's crazy. A lot of these times average plus 60 minutes, 80 minutes, something like that. I mean, it's wild because they just don't have that many attractions to spread these crowds out between. So we're seeing some more conventional times here now that we're entering the Labor Day weekend. Hey, let's see if this holds up. And hey, this is just kind of a blip on the radar. Nothing to worry about. No harm, no foul kind of thing.
Yeah,
I suspect there's something going on. But go ahead, OG. You were saying.
No, I was going to ask you. You kind of perfectly set up my question. I was going to ask you,
sure.
Like you said, something else is going on. Do you think this is a Disney something going on? Or is this a maybe economy, global issues going on? Because I don't really know. Maybe those in the chat can kind of chime in. I have no clue. But what do the crowds look like at Universal Orlando? Are they also seeing a slowdown? Because if Universal Orlando is also seeing a slowdown, this is more indicative then of more of an economic issue or something along. Or as you know what I'm saying. So we have to kind of look at it like that too.
I do. Oh, absolutely. And I 100% agree. This is why I bring up the Six Flags kind of analogy, because that to me was kind of the canary in the coal mine, so to speak. It was like, well, listen, if you're having a withdrawal from this major enterprise in the form of Six Flags with its 20 plus parks or whatever dotted all across the U.S., does that suggest that there is a slowdown industry-wide, not just limited to Six Flags? The fact that we're seeing this also reflected in Disney in some aspects, not saying total. We'll have to see how attendance bears out in the subsequent weeks and so forth. And I do believe it's going to raise up a bit for the holidays and Tron and everything like that. So no worries there, at least for the short term. But for the long term, I do kind of worry. I mean, we have heard from people on Twitter who know a little bit more about this, suggesting that I guess they're calling it like, was it like revenge trips or something? I guess the idea is that because people were locked down for a bit of time, they took revenge on that by actually going and taking partaking in trips and so forth. I guess that's the connection there, but it's like maybe those things are kind of waning a little bit. And while international visitation will come in, maybe it might not be to the degree that maybe was originally envisioned, given Europe's economic problems at the moment. It's a fascinating thing. Honestly, I don't know. I'll say this though. I think Disney was very, very interesting in that I think the company across all of its platforms had anywhere an average between 10 to 30% just automatic buy-in from their most loyal fans. They put out anything, 10 to 30% of the audience will just automatically buy in because it is Disney, right? And that was an edge that they held for decades, really. And that cushioned the blow of things that maybe didn't hit all that well, and it contributed to the excess and success if these products really did land well. I wonder if that 10 to 30% is still there. I wonder if that's eroding. I wonder if you have some brand pullback that may be influencing some other decisions that the company is making right now in terms of leveraging its activations across its synergy machine, I think is what the term that they like to use, right? And what does that mean? I think that means maybe a loyalty program.
Interesting. Now, Ollie is saying with the Six Flags analogy, though, the CEO strikes me as stubborn. I think Chapek will be more nimble based on that idea, based on that data. I do agree with you. Well, I think the Six Flags thing, though, is a little different, just in my opinion, because you're taking a very cheap product and you're slapping on a high price. So it's essentially it's you're taking McDonald's and then you're charging Ruth Chris Steakhouse prices and going, here you go, buddy. I mean, that's a little different than like the Disney thing, which is like you get a premium product at Disney. I mean, there's no doubt. I think we can all agree on that. And I think that it's expensive for that premium product. That's why I think it's a little different. I mean, are you going to pay premium prices for Six Flags? I think their attendance problems it's more indicative of that.
I'm sorry, you're not going to pay $75 for preferred parking at Six Flags? Oh, gee, come on!
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, go ahead.
I think that's I think with Six Flags, I think that's kind of a big factor there. I think so. It does separate a little bit from Disney, in my opinion.
Well, it does. It shows that you can go too far. And for Six Flags, that threshold was a lot lower than Disney, let's be honest here, because of the product that they put out. I'm not saying that they're on the same level and, whatever. There are two different philosophies when it comes to the themed entertainment industry, right? Between these two two brands. That being said, though, it does kind of show like you can ask a little bit too much, per se. Now, like I said, Disney's threshold, a lot higher, but it is one of those things. I mean, previously, I think one of the things that might be contributing to this kind of, soft attendance is, let's be honest, the thing that would cushion those kind of things, especially for Walt Disney World, was locals, was people who were maybe annual pass holders, people who frequented the parks regularly. Obviously, Disney has kind of pulled away from them a little bit, but I worry because it's like, okay, well, this is kind of a temporary lull. Like I said, a couple months, we're talking about something else entirely, probably too much demand. But it's like, man, that's why you want to have a little bit of a local base. That's why Christine Wastelands McCarthy said we can just pull that lever and let these people in. Well, if there's not necessarily demand from those consumers, who do you fill up these parks with? Even if it is just bodies per se, they still spend at least a little bit money, and they do kind of cushion these things at least until the busy seasons. Who's there? I don't know. It's something to think about.
It's interesting, and then it's interesting how you kind of segue that into like the loyalty program, which we're going to get into the whole Disney Prime thing, because that's a whole can of worms. That thing is that's really, really interesting. Actually, pretty creative concept though. That's interesting. Now I personally don't think there is a brand pullback, just because I've said it many times. I mean, the entire discussion and narrative on social media is Disney. Even when people are talking about Epic Universe, it's always in the lens of what's Disney's response going to be to Epic Universe. It's always Disney, Disney, Disney. I think there's massive demand, and we saw really even with the Magic Keys, like the almost like the collective panic attack when they didn't announce any kind of renewal. I mean, it was it was palpable. I definitely think that loyal fan base is definitely still there. But you bring up a good point. Maybe they're trying to incentivize and motivate that group more so, so I don't know. I really don't. It's hard to say. And this is really, it's only, and correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, because again, I'm not as familiar with Florida, but I think the slowdown at Disney World in attendance has only been like the last couple of weeks, right?
Right. It's only been like a couple weeks. That's pretty much it. So that's why I say these things with the kind of what is it? It's
like asterisks a little bit.
Yeah, the asterisks, right? Like, okay, yes, we're seeing maybe low attendance here, but let's, it's only a couple weeks here, guys. This, like I said, it may go right back up, and it goes crazy for the holiday season, and they thrust that kind of momentum towards the next summer season or whatever, and we're not talking about this anymore. It's just very strange though, with all of these systems in place in order to control demand, right? Spread it out, all this kind of stuff. Oh, we're having insane demand. Christine Wastelands McCarthy said we've seen no abatement, and yet we did. It's just very interesting. I think it's something we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very interesting. I'm very curious to see if that's going to continue, if that trend's going to continue, and to see kind of where it goes. It'll be very, very interesting. Now,
And
should
you're
we
right about Disney. People talking about him. It's funny.
It's crazy.
I tuned into a little bit of Midnight's Edge today, and for the first hour and a half or something like that, they were talking about She-Hulk, even though the video was labeled Lord of the Rings discussion. So it's like, isn't that funny? You're still talking about Disney or Disney's products, even though you might not necessarily be a fan, or maybe you're talking about something else entirely. They're still part of the discussion, and you have to include them.
Yeah, and it's like no one gets on Twitter and argues about Betty Boop or Felix the cat.
Yep.
Well, you get your shit. It's the
Yep.
companies and the fan bases and the fandoms that are relevant that gets everyone kind of. And I see a lot of Disney stuff on there now. Tanuki91 is saying this time of year is expected for a drop in attendance at Walt Disney World with school being back in session. That's a good point too, Tanuki. School is back. I noticed that the drive times in my general area have been worse lately because of school. That's definitely part of that equation for sure. That's a great point. I didn't even consider that actually.
And it was the lead up to Labor Day. So that that's the other kind of thing too. A lot of people postpone their trips specifically to we're going to go on Labor Day weekend, right? Because that's when the 4-day weekend is and all that kind of stuff. So it's like that definitely impacts that whole thing too. I'm not saying that this isn't motivated by other factors. It's just kind of weird how we just saw demand abate, even though Christine Wastelands McCarthy said, "Hey, that's not going to happen." This is completely right here. OG, you were big on this, so go ahead, take it away.
I was real big on this, and Wildest, you are speaking my language, brother. It says Universal needs to pretend Disney doesn't exist. Stop making jokes and taking digs at Disney. Look, I completely agree with you, man. Like, this is one of my biggest pet peeves with the Universal marketing team. I don't mind the occasional dig. That's cool. But when your entire strategy online is poking fun at Disney, you're cementing this idea that you're number two. I'm number two, and I'm going to constantly take pot shots at number one. And you forever put yourself in a position where you're Sega, or whether you're Pepsi or Burger King. Showcase loves when I use those Burger King and Sega and all that. He cracks up. But it's true though. All these companies that are like the number twos, they do that. And it really does solidify their place as number two. You will never, ever, ever, ever see a company that's truly number one taking shots at other companies. They don't do it because they don't have to do it. And Universal, I think if I was heading their marketing team, I would get rid of that altogether. If you want to be number one, Universal, act like number one. Yeah. Stop acting like a perpetual number two all the time.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts.
I get it, man. I get it. Some of those tweets can be pretty cute and pretty funny, but you're right though. I mean, it's like, who are we trying to be? Are we trying to be a perpetual number two? Are we trying to be top dog? This is not top dog behavior. Let's just be honest here. So I think a little reevaluation in that social media team would go a long way here. Marty Snyder brings up an interesting point too. KTLA was broadcasting from there today. I believe he means Disneyland, and kept having to remind people you can't just come here, reminding people to make reservations. They even seem confused. Now, Marty, are you saying they seem confused because attendance was low, and that's why it's like, why is there a reservation system if attendance is lower than expected? I'd like to I very much like to suss that out because I think it's very interesting. But for King Sega for Showcase,
yeah. Funny, man. Funny. Alia says Notch shows how it's done. Yeah, Notch is a class act. Yep. They really are, and they do poke fun at Disney too. They do, but it's not this like perpetual like obsession that you see with Universal. It just
it's also not as catty. That's catty. They're doing their own thing, and Matt Ouimet and everybody over there at the Cedar Point or Cedar Fair organization. I mean, it's a job well done over there. They really do know how to run an organization. Like I said, Six Flags, maybe not, but Knott's Berry Farm. Oh, there you go. It's the meme. Right there.
Yeah, Six Flags needs to get rid of their CEO. I mean, look, this guy is just, he just doesn't understand. If you want to charge, premium pricing, then actually give people a premium product. Absolutely. It's ridiculous that he thinks that he can just slap on a high price to the current product that they give and they can get away with that. That's absolutely insane. Wildest is saying here, if there's still low waits in September, or I'm sorry, late September, early October, then it seems long enough to declare an attendance recession. Yeah, that I would agree with him on that. Wouldn't you, Dre?
Agree. Absolutely, 100% agree. And that's why I kind of end it with this portion here on Braden's video here, because the attendance was wide open for all parks. Very uncharacteristic. We would expect that maybe Labor Day gets a little soft and then rebounds right there. But at least at the point that this video was taken, it's not necessarily the case. I would agree with Wildest completely, 100%. Yeah. If we see these trends maintaining all the way into October, I think absolutely we have to say that this is that the park's attendance has been depressed a little bit.
No, 100%. 100%. And I'd like to get the data too with the surrounding parks and see, because the reason why that's important, like SeaWorld and Universal and them, is that if they're all seeing that same dip, it's external. If it's just Disney though, that's a major problem that Disney needs to look into and see, why are people just avoiding Disney? That's a big problem.
I'd even say I'd go beyond. If it's industry wide, I would say that could be an issue. And if it's affecting Disney and Disney's not insulated from those things, that's still an issue. Yeah, it's still an issue. That means that even with everything that Disney employs in order to saturate supply, let's say that even they if they're not insulated, that means that they can't insulate themselves from some of those market forces. Again, I would be concerned.
Yeah, and Showcase says here, if wait times are low, wonder how hotel occupancy is doing. That's interesting as well.
That's the big one.
That's a big one.
That's the big one. Yeah.
Ollie says, well, put OG about if it's the same for all theme parks. Yeah, it's definitely a factor, Ollie, in my opinion. Absolutely. Mr. Robert White is saying they're starting to need those unfavorables. Well, I wouldn't necessarily go that far quite yet. I mean, it's only been, in Florida, it's only been, 2 weeks with the slowdown. But like Wilders was saying earlier in the chat, if this continues into October, yeah, they're going to need to bring back those unfavorables.
And they might, like I said, they might be doing that in the form of something completely different. One that might root out the unfavorables from the what is it? The common rabble from the whales, let's say. Right. Listen, I'm being facetious. I don't consider anybody to be lesser or greater than anybody else. But as far as this is concerned, they'd like to go ahead and kind of manage who uses their resources accordingly based on how much you spend, right? I was actually going to throw in a drop in here. I'm thinking about doing It's Extra Jester, from Attack of the Clones. I was going to do it, but I need you to put those through. Make sure that we're not going to get demonetized before I use something like that.
Absolutely. Just send it to me. I'll run them through.
It's the depends on how your pocketbook is, that kind of whole thing. I got to do it because I think that's very applicable to many circumstances. But should we get into this membership program here?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And there we go. Ollie said Disney Prime. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yes. Disney Prime. Okay. So this is very, very interesting. I'll read a little bit here for you guys. Can't read the whole thing, but I'll read a little bit here. Walt Disney Company is exploring a membership program that could offer discounts or special perks to encourage customers to spend more on its streaming services, theme parks, resorts, and merchandise, according to people familiar with the discussions. The program would be somewhat akin to Amazon Prime, which offers advantages such as free shipping, discounts at Whole Foods, and a complimentary streaming service for a monthly or annual fee, the people said. Internally, some executives have referred to Disney's initiative as, quote, Disney Prime. Disney Prime. Now I got to get some Transformers drops in there. Yeah. Oh, hey, I actually have a robot voice, don't I? Wait a minute. Hang on here. I might. Well, I got the small one here, but okay. Disney Prime. That kind of thing. Okay.
There you go. That's perfect. That is the official OG55 Disney Prime voice. It has to be.
There you go. So whenever we say Disney Prime, we have to now use that. I'll get the deeper version too for you too. Although that won't be the name of the program. One of the people said, "Oh, come on, such a JV move." Okay. Discussions at Disney are in the early stages. It couldn't be learned how much the company would charge for membership and how long it would take to launch as a program. By creating a membership program, Disney would be betting it could offer customers more value, prompt them to spend more money on the company's products and services, while providing Disney with a trove of information about their preferences. Which, by the way, that's a little bit of a story that nobody's really been talking about. Disney's been in the information collection game for like a good, I want to say 5-7 years. And
Since
I think
the Magic Band, basically,
yeah,
right?
I was just about to say, you brought up a great point with the Magic Band. I believe that's when it kind of started. And I just wonder why their information collection has gone, why they've invested into it so heavily. I guess like the Walt Disney World website is like one of the worst websites on the internet when it came to cookies and information collection and so forth via those methods. I guess it was part of a class that was like, here's what not to do kind of thing, as part of some Fortune 500 internet IT course or whatever, something like that. It was pretty wild. Anyway, I wonder why they're doing that. Hopefully they're not selling it. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, this is a very kind of interesting thing. And we'll go on here and read other excerpts of this article. But, oh, gee, does this light your fire? Or what are you thinking here?
It kind of does light my fire. And actually, it should kind of make, I think it should kind of make Magic Keys a little nervous, to be honest with you. Because this was the rumored program that we were going to get for the Magic Keys before they announced the Magic Keys. Sure. When the parks were shut down for 400 plus days, and there was all this talk in the community. What are we going to get? What's this reimagined annual pass program going to be? The main front runner in all those rumors was a loyalty program. Now we're starting to see a loyalty program. And from what I understand, it's going to be an all-encompassing across all spectrums of the Disney brand. So it's going to be Disney Plus, the parks, Shop Disney, right? It's an all-in-one kind of membership. Very much like Amazon Prime. You can shop and you can watch content, stuff like that. And I'm telling you, it's going to be big. What's going on?
I told you that they were going to leverage their activations across all of the Synergy machine, right? Or something like that. I can never get that phrase right, but I told you we were going to do something like that, right?
Yeah, no, they're going to do it.
Well, apparently the effort is supported by Disney Chief Executive Bob Chapek, who has been vocal both internally and publicly, which he has been, about the opportunity for Disney to do more to cross-sell to consumers. People familiar with the discussions. They said, they liken it to kind of Disney Plus, right? I'm sorry, not Disney Plus, but D23, the fan club kind of thing, which kind of there's a little bit of synergies there, but again, they distinguish it by saying that that's more for like the super loyal fan, right? The I don't know what you want to call them, the I guess the legacy fans or whatever. I don't know what they use internally, but this was more about the casual fan and encouraging sales, promotions, so forth, increased spending, right, increased output from this consumer base, which I do believe, if I have to, I have to say that, yeah, I mean, this is very much. I think Chapek is right on about this. Technology is giving us new ways to customize and personalize the consumer experience so that we are delivering entertainment, experiences, and products that are most relevant to each of our guests, said Christina Shockey, Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Communications Officer at Disney, said in a statement. A membership program is just one of the exciting ideas that is being explored. And here they gave an example, and I thought this was kind of very interesting. They gave an example where, let's say you're watching The Mandalorian, for example, right? And you just had a great time with it, and a QR code pops up and says, hey, order an exclusive version of the Darksaber for a limited time right after you actually watch that. And then you can actually use your kind of Disney Prime membership to both scan it, purchase it, and there you go. Now it knows your consumer preferences, and that's reflected in maybe, I don't know, Disney Genie Plus recommendations when you're actually in the park. They know you like Star Wars based on your previous, purchases and your previous, preferences regarding Star Wars, and it says to you, hey, if you want to go on Rise of Resistance, you still can get a boarding group for that specific attraction, or an individual lightning lane, I should say. Hey, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is a 20-minute wait. We know you like Star Wars, go. That kind of thing. And I think it's kind of, I gotta be honest, I think it's pretty ingenious. Mr. Chapek may highlight Disney's, quote, unique synergy machine. You see? Or franchise flywheel on a call with Wall Street analysts, saying the company was different from competitors because it could reach people in many different ways. And I think he's exactly correct. I think that's what we said right when he made these comments. Like, hey, listen, because of Disney's unique verticals and activations, they can synergize across those brands in a way that Netflix can't. Right. There's no Netflix land that you can go to, right? There's not really even a theatrical component to many of their films, whereas here they do have a distribution platform for films. They do have a retail component to their business and so forth, right? And I think he's exactly correct in this. Go ahead, OG. I know you have some extended thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fantastic idea. There's a lot of potential there. They can do promotional stuff, all kinds of stuff with this program. I mean, with the QR code, like what you were talking about, like if you're watching Mando, they give you a code to get the merch and all that. That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. I think this will be huge. I think it'll be absolutely huge. You can incentivize people to go to your parks. It's incredible. You can offer discounts for the parks. If you tune into this show and you have the opportunity to go to the park and meet said characters at the park. And if you go through Disney Prime, you get a discount or whatever. I mean, there's so much potential here with this. It's out of this world, absolutely out of this world. I think it'll be very successful. I think we're probably going to get much more information on it at D23 Expo.
Yes.
I mean, so we'll find out more. I don't know. I mean, I think we'll probably get like an official name. I think we'll probably get like some pricing, what it'll entail. But I like it. I really, really do like it. But with everything, it comes down to execution. So we'll see. You can have a great idea, and with crap execution, it does you no good. So are they going to come through on that end? We'll see.
I do agree. And 3 points here real quickly that I have. I just thought of them. One is they're looks like they'd be leveraging activations in ways that I didn't really think about or consider, or that's not plainly obvious. Like they even say like, hey, what if you got discounts on Broadway shows? Disney does have a presence on Broadway. What if this synergized with that? What if, what is it? You could imagine, because occasionally Disney Cruise Line will even have specialty cruises themed around Marvel or Star Wars. What if, you were watching The Mandalorian, you got that Darksaber there with your QR code, you got that, reservation for or that, I should say the individual lightning lane. Sorry. Oh, man, keep those names together. Okay, the individual lightning lane at Rise, because based on your preferences. What if it tells you, hey, look, listen, there's going to be a Star Wars-themed cruise departing out of a port in Florida or California or whatever. You can get there now. You can kind of see how this kind of go on there.
Oh, yeah. It's so much potential. So much.
Interesting, too. They put, I think, their head of meta on this whole thing, which that's very interesting. Their kind of metaverse that they've been working on.
That is
not the head of meta, but the head of their metaverse. Mike White, who leads Disney's metaverse strategy on this, which gives a little bit more insight into what the metaverse is really all about. Maybe it's a little bit more conceptual, tying all these activations together, than it is kind of literal VR or whatever. I think that's very much appropriate. I think that's the kind of direction that they're going.
I think that's a better direction, to be honest. That's a smart way to go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that the metaverse strategy going forward, like I said, it's not a virtual reality that you escape into. It's an alternative reality you can't escape from. That's kind of where they're going there, and I think that's the appropriate direction. Third thing, I'll say this though, for my consumer preference, right? In terms of how I feel about this, I actually think it's a pretty good thing because you could imagine, right? We've said before on the show, how many times? Hey, incentivize access to the parks, not from the locals, but from domestic tourists, right? There really isn't an easy way for us to gain additional access outside of just spending tickets, right? With the annual pass holder programs and so forth, they're just kind of unfeasible given how many nights we need, how irregular we go, all that kind of stuff, right? But what if you gained access to the parks spending like $60, maybe $100, $120 a month? Maybe you got a limited number of set days that you had access to, but those were anytime visits kind of thing, and you could use those amount of days that you were allotted any way you wish. Maybe your reservation system is a lot more accessible than maybe others when it comes to the bucket situation. That could be really attractive to people in Michigan, to people in Arizona, to people in Utah, Texas, all that kind of stuff. That's one thing there where it could actually really be an extremely good value for one, but two, really create that brand loyalty that I think they want.
Yeah, no, 100%. Now, Robert White says here, Universal Orlando is insane busy right now. And then he follows up with Halloween Horror is sold out first 3 nights. And then our buddy, these are all related, so I'm kind of clumping them together.
Oh, please
and then And then Wildest Ride, our buddy Wildest says, it's going to be hard to compare Walt Disney World with Universal Orlando and SeaWorld the next 2 months with HSN and HOS running those Halloween events. That's a fair point, Wildest, because those events are no pun intended, monsters, and they are really, really popular. And that wouldn't look. We talked about the many factors involved with the Magic Kingdom and the Disney World in general with the attendance issues. That is probably another huge factor, is people are going to these horror Halloween events.
I'll say this too. Disneyland, for the Oogie Boogie Bash, that sold out within weeks. Whereas I believe Mickey's Not So Scary, it either has yet to sell out or it took months to do it. And that just tells you a little bit of value perception, the consumer differences between the various resorts, what kind of parties and stuff that they put on and so forth. Oogie Boogie Bash got great reviews, and I think that was reflected in how quickly they sold out. Mickey's Not So Scary, maybe not. Maybe that also reflected how tickets were still on sale for quite a bit of time.
Yeah, 100%. Wildest goes on to say, when will the OG55 metaverse launch? And will there be dinos drinking from cups with real lids and straws? Yeah, there will be. It's going to be pretty awesome. There's going to be a Progress Beaver and everything. It's going to be great.
Yeah, there's going to be a Progress Beaver, Murder Beaver. We're going to have, like I said, we're definitely going to have real lids and straws for sure. I will say, look, listen, like I said, I'm not necessarily against conservation. I'm very much against waste and so forth like that. But gotta do something about those straws, man. Straws.
So Dre, you're not against conservation. So tell me, why do you hate sea turtles so much?
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, 100%. Oh man, those plastic straws, man. I'm sorry, those paper straws at the parks, it ruins every single drink. I hate it, man. It just drives me nuts.
Yeah,
we actually. It's funny. Maybe I'll go grab them, but
yeah, you can grab them. I can hold down the fort if you want to go run and get them.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, do it.
All right. It's gonna take maybe like 2 minutes, but I'll be right back. Okay.
I'll hold it down.
Just 1 second.
Hold it down.
Yeah, please do.
Cool. All right. So Mr. Vaskai will be right back. I'm gonna go ahead and continue with our chat here. It says that would be cool if they did hold on one sec, bring this up because it kind of relates to Tanuki's comment. That would be cool if they did Disney Prime pop-ups exclusively for members across the country with exclusive merch, exclusive park ticket deals, etc. Exactly, Tanuki. That's exactly what we're talking about here. The sky is the absolute limit when it comes to this stuff. What they can do with the Disney Prime it really is brilliant. In my opinion, I think it really is brilliant. Now, like I said, it all comes down to the execution, though. because Disney could shit the bed. They can absolutely shit the bed on this. They have to come in and do it right. But if they do it right, I'm telling you, sky is the absolute limit. Michael Ebba, what's up, my man? It's good to have you, brother. It's good to have you. And I'm kind of going through the chat, kind of checking everything out. Give me just a second or so. Give me just a moment. All right. So Robert White continues here saying Universal hotels are all running in the 90% range for September. That is unheard of. Unheard of. All right. And Robert goes again to say Universal is packed. Robert, do you own Comcast stock? No, I'm just kidding, buddy. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. I think Mr. Vash Guy is back.
I think I am. And okay, speaking of the straw situation, this right here, this bundle of straws right here, this is actually pretty low. But you can see right there, okay, we take like a bundle of this per day when we go to the parks ourselves because we just cannot stand the freaking paper straws. I'm telling you, this right here. It's like a bundle of these included in one of our bags when we go. This always comes with us. This is the, what is it, our California straw solution right here.
So funny.
It's like, and listen, it's, yeah, see, you see Wildest? Yeah, see, right there. You guys understand our pain here. Look, listen. I wouldn't even mind if it was an alternative material or whatever. It's just got to last the drink. That's all I want.
Right.
Just something that lasts the drink. That's it.
Right.
Alia brings up a good point. If it's bamboo or some other type of material that just is, let's say, ecological friendly, whatever. As long as it lasts the drink, I'm good. She says here, bring your own straws. Maybe that's what he's getting. They still steel type. Yeah. See, Alia, right there. That's what I got right there. The friggin' straws. The Disneyland solution right there.
At the lounge, the Club 33 lounge, I was there a few months ago, and they actually use different straws in there than like in the park.
Oh,
they're not
la-di-da.
La-di-da. They're actually, it's not like the paper ones you find like at the Hungry Bear, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
They use, well, sometimes I've seen the metal ones that I believe Theme Park Casual mentioned those, which, yeah, those are bad too because they clank your teeth and everything.
I don't like them either. I really don't. I have problems with those.
Yeah, me too. But they also, the last time I was there, they used agave. They take agave and they flatten it, I guess, and they roll them into straws. And that was interesting. And that was a lot better than the paper ones. And it was better than the metal ones too, because the consistency of the agave, it wasn't like super dry like a paper one, where it's like uncomfortable, but it wasn't like metal and clanking all over your teeth. It was just kind of the perfect little sweet spot. The agave ones, they should do that park wide. I don't know. I thought they were pretty good.
I do agree with that. Hey, listen, now I really feel like a second class citizen. Now next to Club 33, now they got the actual like legit ecological friendly straws. What's going on here, Disney? Come on. I know you're rolling out the grass, but this is what it actually impacts those consumer surveys right here. You can see a little
those straws.
In and out shout out right there, for sure. Produce a great product. Yeah. It's interesting. Wildest says here, I have a little bit, a little bit more patience when it comes to like, using aquariums, right? I do agree with that. Like you have to be,
Oh, that's true.
You have animals in place and stuff like that. You don't want anything getting into their enclosures and so forth. I get all that, and I've always understood that for sure. This is not necessarily impacted by those same issues right there. This is a little bit different and unfortunate. Now, it is one thing. There's a very interesting straw story. This has actually happened. This is not a joke. It might have been. It might have sent that deal with Starbucks actually. up in smoke as far as their integration in Walt Disney World for a little while, because they had all the places where they were going to have Starbucks locations featured at all the parks when it comes to Disney's Hollywood Studios, Magic Kingdom, Epcot. But Disney's Animal Kingdom, that was the sticking point, because Disney's Animal Kingdom, it does have those live enclosures, and they can't have any straws or lids, right? And I guess Starbucks was like, ooh, we haven't necessarily had to come up with a product that's friendly for this type of exposition here. What are we going to do? And they actually developed a new kind of straw for that very purpose in order to be able to sell it within Animal Kingdom and make that deal all kind of work, because it was kind of hinging on, are we going to have a presence in all of these parks if we can't have Disney Animal Kingdom take part? Well, they were able to overcome those issues, and I think it's better for everybody that they did, because got a lot of Starbucks fans out there for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And our buddy Casual says here, Knott's appears to have discontinued the all-season drink cup.
Yes.
Now it's a paper cup only and tied to a single season pass, no lid, no straw. I'm not familiar with any of that, Cat. I haven't been to Knott's since I was like 9 years old. But what's an all-season drink cup?
So they used to, you used to be able to buy like a souvenir cup, right? And it was yay big, maybe this big. I want to say 20 ounces or something like that. And it was like a plastic rigid piece that a lot of people would walk around. And I remember going just recently, a lot of people had these kind of souvenir cups. And you could, I believe there may have been a charge per refill, but you could actually go to various stands and get that, souvenir cup refilled all day. It looks like, I think that might be to discourage sharing and so forth, because now they only are distributing, I guess, a paper cup, upon when you would normally refill this kind of souvenir cup, and it's tied to a single pass. That's a very kind of interesting change there, and one that I can understand.
Yeah. And Tanuki91 says, where is the family man tonight? Definitely love the mix when you were all three together, the three Caballeros. Yeah, we miss Family Man. Family Man's getting ready to come to Cali. He's packing his bags and he's coming down to Cali. So Family Man, unfortunately, was not able to join us today, but we do miss him dearly. We absolutely do. You know what? Give me 1 second. Just for George. Give me just a second. We're gonna do it Georgie style. Let's do it. We're gonna go ball to the wall.
There you go.
Just for George.
Just for George. I do agree, man. Gotta go balls to the walls, as he says. And literally he leaves in a couple days. That's why he's indisposed at the moment. But I will say, we're gonna be you and I are gonna be meeting them in the park shortly. That should be a lot of fun.
It'd be a lot of fun. I cannot wait. That's coming up very, very soon. And man, all this straw talk. It's funny, like how passionate people are about this topic. Like it really is an annoyance, though, isn't it? When you go to these restaurants, it's not just Disney. I go out to eat P.F. Chang's or something, right? And you sit down and they hand you your drink, and then they don't. Here in California, they don't give you a straw unless you have to ask for it. And then when you finally get your straw, it's this like flimsy paper thing. It's like it's just so annoying. It's like. I hate it. It drives me nuts.
Now you got drinks now that are like starting at like $14-15 here. These are not like, some kind of, I don't know, $1 cocktail or whatever. I mean, these are expensive premium drinks here that it really does kind of bring down the entire quality of the beverage itself when you have this kind of straw that just turns into a kind of a spit wad almost within a couple minutes of it actually being in your drink there. You can't even really enjoy the product that you paid for, and a lot of money, by the way. I mean, some of these drinks, I was looking at the Disney Wish actually, and there were drinks that were $30-40.
Oh my god!
I guess they have this place. It's a really cool place. It's like Hook's Barbery, I think it's what it's called, and you can get your hair cut, but there's also a bar in this kind of very same location, and they have these kind of I believe it's like bourbons, these specialty bourbons that they have there, and you can kind of make your cocktail how you want. Apparently, the bartender there is really, really solid. But I guess, I mean, you can get up to like $75, $90 for a drink here, and yet you're serving it without one of these. You're serving it with a paper straw, and it's like, what? I couldn't even imagine. No. Yeah, I'm gonna get that agave nectar thing, whatever, that you have over there at Club 33. You know that's for a fact. I know you got it behind the counter, y'all. Let's come on.
Right. Come on,
exactly, right? Exactly. The private stock. I want the private stock, not just for the bourbon, but the straw.
Yeah, no, it's wild. Michael Ebba says here, apparently here in California, we now have to ask for straws at fast food places too.
Yep.
Unbelievable, man. All these weird rules. Kind of stupid.
Yeah.
It's absolutely stupid.
I'm not too thrilled. California is very interesting in that they see a problem and they seek out a regulation for that problem, but not necessarily before a solution's actually presented. So it creates these kind of weird areas where people have to create solutions now on the fly based on some of their regulatory habits. Very, very kind of interesting.
Yeah, man. Mr. Robert White says, OG, you need to visit Universal Orlando. I would love to. I got to visit Walt Disney World first. I still haven't been there.
Isn't it crazy, guys?
Absolutely crazy. I really need to go to Florida and check out Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando. Look, you guys have the Universal Park you guys have in Orlando. It's like there's like no comparison. There's no comparison to what you guys have out there and what we have out here. Yeah. It's a completely different animal. And I would be really excited to go down there and check out Islands of Adventure, or when it opens, Epic Universe. I'm really, really curious. Really, really curious.
We've got to get, what is it? We got to get our buddy George, obviously. I mean, he's going to be included in our trip to Walt Disney World whenever we take that. We got to get George. We got to get Showcase of Wishes. We got to get Wildest Ride. We maybe get Jay from 3PO, right?
Invite him all.
Yeah, and we go resort hopping and we drink around that way. I think that would be a lot of fun because from what I understand, they've got some premium cocktails and premium food offerings over there that I would love to get into, even just outside the parks. Fascinating.
Absolutely. And Theme Park Casual says, never been to Walt Disney World. How did they let you do a Disney YouTube channel? I know, right? And it's funny, the Disneyland YouTubers are far and few between. Like, I mean, we really are. We are a very small bunch compared to the Orlando YouTubers and content creators. I mean, it's crazy. I can only think of, now keep in mind, I'm a parks YouTuber, but most of the content I watch is usually like movie and film stuff for some reason. I like, a lot of John Campea, Christian Harloff, stuff like that. But off the top of my head, I can only think of maybe like a handful of Disneyland YouTubers, but Florida's got everybody, man.
They got everybody. Yep.
I mean, everybody. It's wild. It's an entire industry out there in Orlando.
Yeah. No, and we've talked about it before here. It's not called Swampland 71. It's Orange Grove 55 because I think there was a kind of a segment here that was kind of missing. There was kind of a void there where people would talk about, maybe Disneyland specifically, coming at it from a Disneyland perspective, because we see so much Walt Disney World content all over YouTube. That I think I think it inspired you partially to make this channel so Disneyland centric, and I think that was the right thing, because I think there is kind of a hunger for, what's going on over there at 1313, Cattell Avenue or whatever. It's that kind of thing. Tanuki, You're right. Monorail Crawl for sure. Grand Floridian, the Polynesian, the Contemporary, all those guys. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And with Vash's straws, you're right. I will definitely bring the straws. Don't even worry about that, guys. I will definitely be of use.
Yeah. And Theme Park Casual says that Swampland 71, we need to trademark that. Absolutely. We will definitely let the OG55 legal team be aware of that. We will definitely get that trademark.
Those are some of our activations across our Synergy machine.
Exactly.
We'll be activating those accordingly.
100%. And then Showcase says we had Orange Groves here too. That's true. Maybe we can just do Orange Grove 71. Florida fresh.
Yeah.
Orchard fresh and delicious.
There we go.
We
Right?
could even keep the branding. There you go.
Perfect. It's perfect. Michael Eva says, I've been going to Disneyland my entire life. I've never been to any other Disney parks, but I wish to do that one day. Me as
Yeah.
myself included, Michael. I have never done the other Disney parks. I will say this though. If you have, I don't know where you're at, Michael, like in California, but if you get a chance to do the studio tour, the Walt Disney Studio Tour in Burbank, jump on that.
Yeah.
Because that was like the thing with the parks. Like I've been to Disneyland so many times, right? It's not that they lose their magic, but it definitely loses its sheen a little bit. Like it's definitely not like that first time you go, right? It loses a little bit. Going to that studio, I felt that magic again. It was like I was like in awe. Like I was like this little kid in a candy store. Like this is incredible. I love this. This is awesome, you know? And the energy there is just fantastic. So if you ever get a chance to do that, I don't know if you have already or not, but I had an absolute blast at the studio. I thought it was a really magical experience. It really was. Our friend
comes rushing back. You know, that's that portion of the song there. That that I think the outro song for what is it? Believe. Yeah. Remember Dreams Come True, right? Yeah.
Remember Dreams Come True.
That kind of whole thing. Yeah. That, from what I understand, Burbank Studio. That's where it's at.
That's where it's at. And our friend Natalie here says, I went to Disney World 5 years ago. It's overwhelming. I prefer DL. You know, that's an interesting point that she brings up.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to Walt Disney World either. I mean, I've never been to Walt Disney World ever. And it does seem very overwhelming. Like the bus systems and the Skyliners, and there's like all these parks and resorts. I don't know what's close to what. I feel like you have to really do your research. You really have to know before you go.
It would seem like that. That's kind of why I want to go with some veterans. You know, I want to go with some vets. I want to go with George and Showcase and some of these other guys who have gone there so many more times than you or I have. Obviously, I've only been there once, and that was like I was like 11 or something like that. I barely remember it. So, and a lot of those things have changed since then. So, I definitely want to go with somebody who kind of like knows it, because I think when we went, we were trying to kind of approach it from a Disneyland mindset. Totally don't do that. Like we went and tried to get Fantasmic. It's like, well, okay, well, if you know they're Fantasmic, come on. What you really should be doing is seeing the Lagoon show out, like Illuminations or something like that in Epcot. That's what you should have been. Oh, it's like, okay, I got it now. So I kind of want to go with somebody who. Because let's be honest here, folks, a trip to Walt Disney World is a little bit more complicated than a trip out to Disneyland. Just saying. Oh,
no, it totally is. It totally is. I feel like I really have to read up on it to I don't even know where to begin, to be honest. Brandon Bushnell says, been to Walt Disney World many times, but decided to do a Universal trip only last year and had a blast. Totally correct, OG. Completely different than what we have here in Cali. It seems like it. It seems like it. We have... one of my big pet peeves with Universal Studios Hollywood is that it's on that stupid hill. And look, I know they can't help that, but it's still it's there though. I hate having to go down those escalators to the lower lot and then to the upper lot. And I'm more a traditionalist when it comes to these theme parks. I like everything like on the ground, right? A flat park that you go to, and that's why I love the parks. Or at least what the parks seem like they are over in Florida for Universal. They're more traditional, and that's more my cup of tea. To be honest with you, if we had those Universal parks out here, I'd probably get an AP or Universal. Oh yeah, but we don't. So.
No, it's totally true. But I will say though, I know you, OG. You don't like a completely flat park. You like a little bit of topology change as well. Universal takes that to the extreme. We'll admit. And yeah, I mean, like the novelty is kind of cool. Views are stunning, but yeah, I mean, as far as visiting there, it is like you only go down to the lower lot once. Go to the lower lot once, and you're only going there once. You got to go back. No. You ain't gonna do that. You're gonna go down there once, come back up, all that. So you have to make that kind of room there. Captain John D in the house. Yeah. Hey, hopefully, hopefully you saw our kind of intro there, Captain John D. We wanted to go ahead and acknowledge that we did see your $10 super chat on the premiere. on the video preceding this one, and we were unbelievably grateful, sir. Unfortunately, that was pre-recorded, so we couldn't thank you in video format, but we just wanted to go ahead and make up for that. You appreciate all the support and love. Thank you so much. Seriously, it means a lot. I do agree with you too. Yeah, I mean, between the 4 parks keeps it fresh. Disneyland, though, I don't know. There's like a charm there, right?
Yeah.
There's so many attractions. It's fresh in a different way, I feel. But maybe that's just me. OG, what do you have to say?
I'm a Disneylander. I grew up at Disneyland. I go like once a month, and I fell in love with the park at a very young age, so I have no problem going all the time. I just absolutely love it. To be honest with you, I love DCA. I also love DCA. I like going to that park because it has a different energy, a different kind of flavor that Disneyland doesn't have. And we talked earlier about like Boogie Bash and things like that. Boogie Bash works because it's allowed to be a little edgier because it's in DCA.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And Disneyland is a very like kind of safe kind of situation. And that's also why I don't like going to Disneyland on New Year's. I'd rather go to DCA. And the alcohol. But at least you have more adult options over there. It's more of a New Year's vibe, right? Where in Disneyland, it just doesn't, the image of the park, the kind of doesn't really work as well in that park. Now, for Christmas though, if you want to talk Christmas, Disneyland's the king of the hill. I mean, that's like the, and DCA takes the back seat then. So it just kind of depends. But that edginess at DCA, I think plays to its favor in certain circumstances. I think New Year's, Boogie Bash, stuff like that, it definitely works.
We saw a zombie Captain America. You can't do that stuff at Disneyland, but you can do it at DC, and I think it works out quite well. And I think that's what, like you said, Oogie Boogie Bash definitely separates itself from the pack, right? Well, I will say this, though. I mean, previously, DCA used to be the park where it was like, oh man, I can't believe I'm not in Disneyland right now. But honestly, every single time I walk into that park now, it's like, wow, this is really, really cool. Buena Vista Street really takes it up so much. It's that kind of that first impression, and it really kind of lays it on thick, and it's beautiful. Cars Land is awesome, and there's that Kiss Goodnight at World of Color now. So it's like it's all those kind of things that really kind of have done a lot to deepen, I think, people's appreciation for that park for sure. This comment right here is pretty good. I like this.
Michael Ebba says, thank you for the recommendation, OG. I'm San Diego based. I had a friend who went to Walt Disney World for the first time a few years ago, and she said, while it's fun, it's not Disneyland. That's interesting. Yeah. There is something, and I've never been to Walt Disney World, so I got to be completely fair here, but there is something though at Disneyland. It's palpable. You can feel it. There's an energy there. And I don't know if it's because
I don't know. It's like a charm. It's like something, it's like intangible quality. Like palpable, huggable, something like that.
Yeah. And then Captain John D says here, I hear Christmas is the GOAT at DL. Can't wait. Oh, John D, you have no idea, man. It's like just magic on top of magic. I mean, it's like just standing on Main Street with the snow and everything at Disneyland. It's just, oh my, I'm getting goosebumps even talking about it.
Oh, I know. Same here. I mean, it's like, it's legitimately that good. The snow on Main Street. And I remember when they installed that, by the way, that was actually installed during the Cynthia Harris kind of admin. And it was to compete with what they felt was going to be a draw for DCA. I believe DCA was under construction, so they were kind of worried, like, hey, we have to, activate Disneyland a little bit more, right? And they installed the snow, and it's just out the box. It's just something about it. Something snowing down Main Street with those fireworks, even that parade there. You've got It's a Small World Holiday, which is just adorable. I was. It was a Herculean effort to get that attraction experience online after its kind of devastating accident that it had last year. Glad they poured as many resources as they did to get that on, because it's something different about that as well. It kind of feeds into the whole kind of Christmas thing going on there. And Haunted Mansion Holiday. I mean, that's also like just the decorations. Even DCA joins into the mix. It's a lot of fun. You definitely got to see it for sure.
Yeah, I think you'll really enjoy it. Christmas at Disneyland is a really special time. A really special time. And Tanuki91 says, speaking of safe, family friendly, and vibes, I remember when Alien Encounter was at Magic Kingdom. Great attraction, but it was so weird that it was in Magic Kingdom. I heard that attraction was pretty intense. I've never been on it, but I heard it was pretty crazy.
I went on it.
Oh, wow.
So I unfortunately didn't get to enjoy, some of the past favorites like, Imagination or Horizons or any of these other ones that people talk about all the time. Wish I could have experienced those, but I did experience. And it's probably, in terms of the Walt Disney World history thing, it was only open for a very small window, so not a lot of people got to see it, but I got to see it, and as an 11-year-old, that was frightening as all get out. That was a very scary experience. I think the intention behind that was they got the rights from the deal that they did with for the creation of MGM Studios, right? Disney MGM Studios. They got the rights to some MGM properties, but they also got the rights to the Alien property for the Great Movie Ride. And when they had that in house, it was like, ooh, we can set that as its own separate attraction. And I think they were going down the lines of, like, let's really do it based on this kind of alien, this kind of xenomorph character or monster or whatever. And because you had that kind of setup for that experience, I think they were thinking, okay, people know the Alien is very intense. It's kind of like that kind of built-in expectation, right? And so we can go horror with it. Well, some Imagineers didn't think that was, some, let's say, more classical-minded Imagineers didn't feel that it was all the best decision to throw the xenomorph into Magic Kingdom. So they got with George Lucas and were able to change Michael Eisner's mind on that. So when they took the xenomorph out, they had to put something else in that was just as scary because they were already going down this path here. Wow. Well, that gets into complication, right? Because it's like, how do you set up the fact that it is a scary thing? How do you set up the fact that this alien creature has certain abilities? Well, you had to have a long exposition in the pre-show and stuff like that. It didn't quite work, I think, in the way they intended. But a lot of people, they were thrilled that this experience even existed at all. It was definitely the edgiest thing that you could ever imagine in any castle park anywhere in the world, probably.
Wow.
And I remember like sitting in there because you have these. They transformed. The idea was they transformed the Mission to Mars kind of theater, so it's kind of circular, right? And you kind of sit along these seats. And previously, Mission to Mars, you look at a screen down below, screen above, and you have your experience. Well, they changed that out, and now you have this kind of binaural audio kind of system in your seat. You have these lap bars that actually go down there, and you're locked in. Lights go out, and this alien thing escapes from this kind of tube that you've just transported it in, and you like, it's wild. So I guess there's somebody up in the catwalk. There was actually a cast member out there shining the lights or whatever, trying to see what was going on. That cast member gets eaten and you feel the blood hit you, but it's like water, it's like super intense. It's like super dark, binaural audio. Whoa. Like that was a thing. Like I said, don't think quite worked. It could have been better if it was in another park. I'll just put it that way. But they were trying to replace Mission to Mars.
That I was just gonna say that you read my mind actually. Like if they were to put that, like let's say in, you can do Hollywood Studios, right? It'd be kind of perfect for Hollywood Studios, or even in Hollywood Land at DCA. These kind of edgier parks, a little more adult-driven parks. And now they own the Alien franchise because they bought Fox.
That's so ironic.
and Predator too. And actually, that Predator movie, what was it, Prey, is actually doing pretty good. I mean, at least I'm hearing it's really, really good. People like it. These kind of properties you can kind of put into these kind of like these non-castle parks, these secondary gates.
Yes.
And it works. And I think they should do that. I think they should.
Well, we saw Disney doing stuff like they had the Disney logo attached to like the American Horror Story advertisement recently for Disney Plus and stuff like that. Yeah. I think Bob Chapek understands the kind of changing of the brand, the evolution of the brand, let's say, and I think he's willing to go ahead and experiment a little bit more than maybe, say, a Michael Eisner or even a Bob Iger was. So, right. Hey, maybe we do get some of edgier experiences in some of these parks. Like we mentioned before, you had a zombie Captain America walking around. Who would have thought that was ever going to happen? And yet, Crazy. Avengers Campus said that you could do it and it could be successful. So I would very much be curious about, maybe taking one of these defunct buildings in Disney's Hollywood Studios and bringing back a version of the alien encounter, maybe the way they originally intended with the actual xenomorph character. I think that would be kind of cool. That would be very, very cool. Very, very cool. And our buddy Jay Pike says here, there is a tradition at Disneyland that cannot be matched by any other park. And what he's referring to is Christmas at Disneyland. It really is just a gorgeous experience. It really, really is. Jay Pike, I do appreciate you, by the way. You showed me a lot of love in the Hey Bricky chat before. I just want to go ahead and give a shout out to you. Thank you very much, sir, for making me feel like a guest on that show. And everybody at home, actually, real quick, I'm going to go ahead and link him. I linked him in our last video, but I'm going to do it again real quick. The Hey Bricky channel, and I've mentioned him many a times in the over the years on my channel. Yes, previously it was Adventures in Design. Now, right. Hey Bricky. Right, and it was Adventures in Design, and now it's Hey Bricky. But they do such phenomenal work over there. Really, really interesting analysis. I'm gonna link them. I'm gonna link their channel in the chat right now. Go ahead and give them a subscribe to them if you haven't already. Check out their live shows. Just phenomenal. Bricky's a really nice guy. JPEG, friends of the channel. So give them all the love. Oh yes, absolutely, 100%. Hey, you had us as guests. I'd like to show the love back for sure. And like I said, any affiliated channels, whether it be Theme Park Casual, Theme Park Wizard, whether it be Hey Bricky, any one of them. There's a number of them. I always think that they're a little bit of a cut above. They're good peoples for sure. Absolutely, 100%. And Showcase here says Stitch was the worst, and I love the movie. Yeah, I hear Stitch Great Escape was really bad. Really bad. And Brandon kind of confirms. He co-signs with Showcase. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I have heard not good things. Haven't seen it myself, but it's a difficult space in which to theme an attraction because it is kind of a small space, right? It was it was designed for an attraction that, they made its debut in 1955, 56, somewhere near there. Near Disneyland's opening. So it's like, how many ways can you actually, utilize this space effectively? This is why I think Enchanted Tiki Room's not going anywhere, because, there's only so many different ways you can actually take that experience and modify it in a way that it would be satisfying to guests, both young and old. Similar thing with this kind of thing. I know they were talking about and they were moving far along into this attraction. They were going to do a Wreck-It Ralph attraction for that space, and that was cut, unfortunately, along with all the other cuts that were made for the 50th anniversary. So, it's sometimes you strike out, and I think that was a big strikeout by WDI, unfortunately. Yeah. And Michael Ebba says here, off topic. Well, by the way, we're just kind of talking. We're just having a little fireside Disney nerd chat right now. Yeah. So whatever you guys want to talk about, nothing is technically off topic. But Michael goes on to say, but do you guys think Disney will ever create a new non-IP land? Ever is a long time. I'm not going to rule out ever, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, especially not here in the States. Yeah, I think the most we'll ever get is kind of a Tomorrowland reinvigoration, which we have some content to go over on that front as well, if you want to get into that. But like a redo of an existing land that's already kind of an original IP, I think, that is very likely to happen. But as far as like a new non-IP inspired land, with the way the industry's going, I just don't see it. You look at Epic Universe. every single one of those lands screams IP, right? And it's like, yeah, well, I mean, you know, when the competition is really kind of laying into its IP products, or the brands that it at least has access to, you know, at this point, it's unfortunate because I do think that original attractions have a role, but you know, Disney would be unwise not to at least leverage some of its IP. That's kind of all I'm saying.
100%. And now, actually, we were going to talk about this DVC Lounge. I totally forgot. That was one of our topics today. So I'm glad, Isadora, that you brought this up.
Right.
So he's saying, is our People Mover dream rumor dead or on the back burner with the DVC Lounge coming to Launch Bay? Now, I know Fresh Baked did a video. I don't know if you checked that out about this. He did a video. I think it came out today, actually, where he was kind of saying that, like, because of the DVC Launch Bay thing, it sort of puts a little bit of a kibosh on the People Mover.
Yeah, I think that's the
kind of the idea. That's
the implication, the idea, right? I don't necessarily agree.
I was just going to say the same thing. I don't agree either. Look, what's the People Mover, right? It goes through Tomorrowland and it goes in and out of all these buildings. From what I understand, it goes when you go through that building, the Launch Bay, the People Mover's on the upper level, right?
On the outside, outer ring. Yes, it is. It is.
And you can see in though, right?
Yeah, you can see in. Yeah,
you can see in. Look, if they have a DVC Lounge right there, and the People Mover passes by that DVC Lounge, that's an opportunity to sell you on a DVC. I know it sounds really, really grimy and slimy and dirty, but think about it. You're in the People Mover, you're going past, and the announcer, and to your left is the DVC Lounge, where people, you know, I mean, you can sell it. So to me, I don't think it kills it.
ASMR right there.
Right? ASMR, People Mover ASMR. No, but but I could totally see them incorporating that into any kind of People Mover spiel. I don't think that DVC announcement means that the People Mover is dead. I actually think the other rumor that we heard from like a month ago from, I believe it was WDWNT, when they reported that they were going to bulldoze the entire structure and just make it seating, ground level seating.
We had problems with that story for sure.
Yes, but I think that if that were to happen, then I would think that would spell more danger to the People Mover, because now you have a track, like, because that track is integrated into that building. So if they're not going to have that building at all, okay, now you're talking about the People Mover being in jeopardy of coming back. But just adding a DVC Lounge, why does that put the People Mover in jeopardy? You can use that People Mover to promote the DVC stuff. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Dre? Where are you at with this?
I didn't even think about promotion, but you're right. You could, right? I mean, it's going to go alongside. I could definitely see a spiel that includes, hey, I'll look into the DVC Lounge, or you know, hey, you could become a DVC member yourself if you want access to this area. It could be very, very interesting. Or maybe like a one-way mirror type scenario. You can block that off completely. Do a projection tunnel in the very similar way that, hey, the Tron tunnel, or whatever they call it, used to exist for the People Mover when it existed back in like the 1980s or something. I mean, it's going back a while. So I don't think it necessarily suggests one thing or another, other than the fact that it looks like the Carousel of Progress building is staying, which a lot of people had suggested that it might be leaving. And I was always one of those people who was like, I don't think it's going, unless they have really something that they can replace it with. Why necessarily take that out if you can utilize that space for other things? Sure enough, they are. And Tom Corliss was actually saying something interesting. He was suggesting that the DVC division of the company actually pays for that space.
Oh,
like
that's
money trades hands between divisions, or departments, I should say. And so, like, that could have impacted that decision and that kind of thing. But I don't think this means that the People Mover idea is dead. Look, let's be honest here, folks. The People Mover, it's not the most likely thing to happen.
No.
But I don't think this hurts its chances. I'll put it that way.
Well said.
So, yeah, there you go. I mean, I think there's still, the optimism that we have going into the, let's do it here, D23 Expo. exists as it always has, but this definitely changes some things, right? And I was never, like I said, because Walt Disney World News Today, I believe, suggested that the rumors that they were hearing was that the Carousel Progress building was going to be removed for a seating area. Oh, that's not a good idea. So this is, I think, a better alternative.
100%. Now, it looks like our friend Theme Park Wizard is back, and he actually has a great YouTube channel as well. And he's one of the few kind of Disneyland focused channels, because we talked about how the Walt Disney World YouTubers, like, they're like a huge portion of the game, right? But Wizard is actually one that focuses mostly on these Southern California parks. So because he is kind of a Californian and he focuses on these Southern California parks, I got to give him a proper intro. Welcome back, Mr. Wizard.
Now let me welcome everybody to the Wild Wild West.
There we go. Mr. West Coast, Mr. Wizard. But it's good to have you back. Sir. Let's see here. Showcase of Wishes says, make the DVC lounge rotate. Yeah, they should.
Oh, man.
Come on, let's do it. Let's do
Smokes. I think only the lower portion of that building was ever made to rotate. So the idea that they're going to add that ability to the upper level, I don't think so, which is really unfortunate. Also, too, I think the DVC lounge, I think it's the Imagination Pavilion over in Epcot there, the old Image Works. I think that's kind of cool because there's a kind of a natural sunlight and you can kind of see areas of the park. Not really, because it's kind of with that pyramid structure, it's just a little bit far, but you can kind of see them. What's going to be kind of interesting about this area is that it's pretty like self-enclosed. Like it's you don't see the outside world almost at all. So it really, the quality of this kind of experience really relies on the aesthetic choices inside. Oh, gee, you want to show my screen just for a little bit here?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this is good. Need to see a little bit more, but I think this is a step in the right direction. What do you think, OG?
Yeah, I don't think it's terrible. I mean, it's certainly better than what's there now, which is nothing. This is, I mean, I can't complain too much, but it looks good, looks stylish. But I will say this. I think our buddy over here, Brandon Bushnell, has a better idea. I got to be honest. Sorry, Disney. I think he's got a better idea.
I have to agree.
This would be, for those of you that are not familiar, Space 220 is a fantastic new restaurant that opened in, was it Epcot, right?
Yes.
This thing is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Now, not only is it awesome, but Disneyland, we've talked about this so much, Dre, with Disney Family Man, and we've talked about so much till we're blue in the face. Disneyland needs a sit-down restaurant.
Absolutely, 100% agree. 100%.
Make use of this building. Give us a restaurant. Like Space 220 is perfect. Oh my God, Disney, and the money you could make, and you can have like firework viewing from the balcony or something.
Yes.
You could do so much, and that would be a really, really smart way to occupy that building. It fits in well with the overall Tomorrowland like theme and the whole thing. I don't know, Brandon, that's actually a brilliant idea, my friend.
I got an idea. Just because you use the upper level of the Carousel of Progress building doesn't mean the lower level has to be vacant.
That's true.
You could put a Space 220 type restaurant on the lower level, and that would increase dining capacity at the Disneyland Resort, I think, effectively. Let's not sleep on this. Now, the Space 220 restaurant's actually been going through some interesting things. I guess it's really hard to get a dining reservation there, and it's because some maybe illicit activities are transpiring with the reservation process over there. Hopefully they get that ironed out. But from what I understand, it's a very popular restaurant. Not too thrilled that they have one of those prefix menus systems there. I'm not really a big fan of how Walt Disney World does that. Fortunately, that hasn't really happened or impacted the Disneyland Resort, but maybe it's coming. I don't know. But Patina Group, come on. Bring a Space 220 in Disneyland. I think that'd be really, really cool. Like I said, or like I alluded to before, I suppose, I'm not too enthused about this kind of Walt Disney World mentality. We're going to take like a defunct building, theme it to kind of an exclusive area, reserve it for an exclusive area, right? Take it away from guests, a guest public space, let's say. and reserve it for an elite few. Not so thrilled about that, especially at Disneyland, because man, there's so few areas, right, that exist for guests to habitate. It's not like Walt Disney World. But hey, if they could use the lower portion of the building, maybe that would alleviate some of even my reservations about this whole thing.
Dre, I'm very curious because you put it out there and then you moved on, and I gotta follow up with you.
Sure.
What's this like the rumors of like this illicit like situation with the reservations with Space 220? What's going on with that?
So
you can't just drop that and walk away, man. You gotta explain.
all right. Now I'm still been getting information on this story. But from what I understand here, there was a group of reservation hoarders, let's say, right, who would systematically reserve as many reservations for, I guess Cinderella Royal Table used to be the big one before the Beast Restaurant was actually moved in. And so it was very difficult to get a Cinderella Royal Table restaurant reservation. I guess apparently this group of avid reservation hoarders would reserve all the available reservations as soon as they went live, and then distribute out to their friends, family, or anybody who may have purchased one of these reservations from them specifically. So Disney actually, and this was a company-wide thing, that it impacted not just Walt Disney World, but Disneyland as well. They put a kind of a $10 surcharge per person if you didn't actually, you had to basically book these reservations for these restaurants with a credit card, tell them how many people you had, and then if you didn't actually show up, you'd be charged $10 per person for that reservation for actually holding your spot there. And that was meant specifically to cut down on that practice, specifically from this group here. Well, apparently they're back and dabbling into the same things again, but in a different way at Space 220. So they're hoarding all these reservations and then maybe canceling them or moving them or doing some things that abuses the practice for us all, which that's unfortunate.
Just remember what we talked about with the Disney Prime thing.
Mm-hmm.
Disney collects all your data, so watch out.
What you gonna do?
They're watching
what
you.
you gonna do?
They're watching you.
What you gonna do?
What you're gonna do? And then our buddy Showcase says here, Space 220 Lounge is the way to go. Can order whatever you want, even on the prefix menu. Interesting. And Michael Ebba says, I miss Steakhouse 55. Yeah, I haven't eaten there in years, but I really do miss it as well. I wish they bring that back or something equivalent to that back to the hotel.
We were just having this conversation with Ranking the Mouse, which we have definitely got to have that guy back on again for sure. But we were just talking about this, how it's like, why did Steakhouse 55... why was it closed? Especially when Steakhouse 71 came up, for the 50th anniversary at the Contemporary Hotel. Apparently, it wasn't the Steakhouse opening year branding that was the issue.
Right.
I now
don't understand it.
I could possibly see maybe them shifting resources from a place like Steakhouse 75 to other areas of the resort, right? And maybe it comes back later in a different form with a revised menu and so forth when the time is appropriate. I could see that, but we're now kind of getting into this area where I think we're above 30,000 regular time cast members here, or I should clarify, 30,000 cast members, both made up of part-time and regular time cast members. But we've now kind of passed this point here where we're starting to get back at least the majority of what we had lost before in terms of labor. Why isn't Steakhouse 55 available? My only conclusion could be that they're maybe shifting attention towards the DVC tower, getting that fully operational, and then in time when that opens, maybe Steakhouse 55 comes back in different form. What say you, OG?
Yeah, no, I think it's actually a really solid theory. I think that might be the approach. It's just a shame because we have so little options, already. I just hate to see us lose another one. I don't know. And Michael Ebba says here, if Disneyland did indeed build a new sit-down restaurant, do you think they would serve alcohol? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. They kicked that door open now. The biggest hurdle was Galaxy's Edge with the alcohol.
Yeah.
That was once they did that, all bets are off. And now you can even get it at the Blue Bayou. So that stigma is no longer there.
Well, recently, I believe Skipper Canteen over there at Adventureland in Walt Disney World in Magic Kingdom specifically. Again, this is a castle park with a restaurant that is now going to be serving alcohol, if I'm not mistaken. I know what Showcase's thoughts were, a little bit more greed, and yes, that is it is part of it. But now they're adding alcohol options to not only Beast Restaurant but also Skipper Canteen here, and I think this is one of those steps in order to bring alcoholic beverages to other areas of the resort, and I do think too limiting it to a certain number of restaurants I think is a good kind of stepping stone into some having alcohol served in various areas where it can be a little bit more regulated and controlled.
100%. And California Dreamin' says, too bad they can't add a sit-down restaurant to the revamped Toontown. You know, it's funny, California Dreamin', me and Dre and we pitched this idea on this channel months ago about bringing the Ink and Paint Club to Toontown, have alcoholic beverages, have this nice, just recreate the Ink and Paint Club from Who Framed Roger Rabbit and put it in Toontown. Oh, God, it'd be so great.
I have to give you all the credit, sir. I may have added a couple of ideas, but you came up with the idea of Ink and Paint Club. And honestly, it's a great idea. I mean, think about it. The famous what is it? Almost what is it? Speakeasy type situation that we see in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, with cartoon characters mixed in with the regular guests. You could order something on the rocks, actually have rocks, just like Betty Boop served Valiant. I mean, it could be really, really fun. Octopus behind the bar, just like it. Maybe Donald or somebody else, maybe not Daffy, but somebody else, doing the piano up there, right? Well,
I don't think David Zaslav would approve of the Daffy.
No, I don't think so. But I don't think JPEG and Zazzy are shoving it up. Let's say, maybe they are. I don't know. We'll see. But no, I think it would be great. Also, too, my kind of whole thing was at least for the top of the Carousel Progress building. I guess it's not going to happen, but end of line bar. Bar from Tron. I thought it would work perfectly. This kind of very unique space with this very unique lighting package has you could have Daft Punk music playing in the background from that amazing score, by the way. This is why I'm so sad that they broke up, because we're not going to get a sequel probably of that amazing score. Even if we do get a sequel to the film, I thought the soundtrack was one of the best Disney produced things ever, actually, in terms of music. It would have been great, would have been fantastic, and yet still we don't necessarily see them leveraging this IP to the extent we want. It's a shame.
It's a shame. And Showcase brings up a great idea. Ink and Paint Club would be fun. Could work at MGM. It would absolutely work at MGM Studios. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Tanuki, libations for everybody. Yeah, exactly. Right. You see where I'm going.
For everyone. And then Alia, our friend Alia, says he might if Disney pays. Zazzy seems open to sharing IP with other places as long as they get money. That's an interesting point, because actually Warner Brothers Discovery right now is kind of shopping this new Batman animated series. They're not going to put it on HBO Max. They're looking for other outlets like Apple, Netflix. I think even Disney, like Hulu, was interested or something.
Yeah.
So that she makes a good point there. He's kind of open to outsourcing their stuff, which is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Hey, look, listen, I think I heard Flash was on sale for a song and dance. I mean, maybe that could...
God. Yeah, right.
If you talk about Zazzy and Warner Brothers, you gotta bring up the Flash. Just saying.
Gotta bring up Ezra.
Hey.
Gotta bring Ezra up.
I didn't hear the film was being canceled, so you got to bring it up. It's still a topic for debate.
It's still on the table. It's still on the table.
Still on the table.
Well, I'm sorry. I call him he. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
They had a meeting with the Warner Brothers executives recently, and supposedly it went pretty good. So I don't know. That movie, for some reason, Zazzy and WB, they're really pushing it. Like they want it to happen. They're trying everything they can to make that movie happen.
Okay, I'm just. What photos does he have of these executives as Ezra? Because he's got to be the most charismatic person in Hollywood. Let's say, right? I mean, it's just like what
crazy.
surprises me about that whole thing. This is not Johnny Depp. This is not Robert Downey Jr. This is not any of these big name actors that actually, put butts in seats. Let's say. It's Ezra Miller. I mean, look, I understand he's been attached to some big franchises, but was he necessarily the draw of any single one of them? I'm not sure. Something's going on there. I don't know what it is. We definitely got to do another video on it for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me kind of catch up a little bit here. Captain John D says that Tron Legacy soundtrack is in rotation to this day. To this day.
So good. Casual even said the best soundtrack ever. I mean, it's so good. I got the. I think either between me and my brother, we have like a HD copy of it for sure, the highest quality version we can find. And I got the remix version. I mean, it's just it's so good. And my heart dropped when I heard that Daft Punk actually disbanded, because it was like, oh man, even if we do get another Tron, isn't necessarily going to come with that a new version of that amazing soundtrack. Probably not. So sad.
Yeah. Well, California Dreamin' follows up with, are Disney and Spielberg still at odds over the rights to Roger Rabbit? I don't know if they're still at odds, but I definitely think that Spielberg is very protective of that situation, and it's not easy for Disney to kind of get into that. Yes. So obviously the relations are well enough that they were able to add him into Roger Rabbit, the new Rescue Rangers movie.
Rangers, yeah.
So the relationship is good enough. I just think it's a process, and I just think Disney doesn't want to deal with it because Roger isn't really that relevant of a character, unfortunately.
No, I know, and it's like, with any one of these things, even franchises that Disney owns, it's all about how many resources do we want to put into necessarily any one of them, right? This is why the Muppets comes off and on, right? Because it's like, okay, we got the Marvel MCU, we got Lucasfilm and all the Star Wars properties, right? Indiana Jones, I guess, is on the horizon as well. Who knew? And you've got all these different IPs, right? That require their own kind of cultivation, let's say, right? All these different things. How many resources do you want to spend to get Roger Rabbit, from Steven Spielberg, do something with him? It's just like, it's much more efficient, expeditious, profitable, whatever you want to say, to do something with these other characters. But even then, there's limited upside with regards to a lot of them.
Yeah, and I have to give Warner Brothers, old school Warner Brothers, I'm talking like 90s Warner Brothers, major props, major credit, because they took one of, and still to this day, one of the hottest directors of all time, legendary director, Steven Spielberg, and said, Steven, we want you to make our afternoon cartoons, Tiny Toons and Animaniacs. I mean, what a ballsy move that was. I mean, you take this legendary director, he's making your animated afternoon cartoons. It was just epic, and it paid off. Both of those shows are really good. Really good, really smart, brilliant comedy. But it just amazes me the quality that went into that stuff. You had Steven Spielberg working on the shows. Absolutely insane.
Isn't that
Absolutely
wild?
Insane.
It's wild. And the 90s, 2000s, 80s, wild time. A wild time, to be sure. It is crazy. Yeah, Theme Park Casual, Vesh. Did you get the Blue Vinyl Legacy soundtrack at Target? No, I did not. Thank you for that. Oh, man. Like I said, sometimes these things slip through the cracks, I suppose, and I didn't get the ultra high quality version of it. Darn. Got to definitely get that. I'm glad you actually brought this up, too. Joseph Kosinski. I mean, he is definitely got to be a person whose reputation has skyrocketed since the success of Top Gun Maverick. I mean, this is a guy that's like, he's been attached to big name projects, but none of them have really kind of, I think, blown up in the way that they were envisioned to, like Oblivion, Tron Legacy, so forth. Man, if we can get that guy back in house to do a Tron sequel, hey, maybe with Olivia Wilde. I heard she's doing some stuff, at least in the producers or directors end of the whole kind of thing there. I think that would be phenomenal. I would absolutely go and see that. I think Kaczynski's got to be a name in the Burbank offices. I think they're foolish if they don't include him in regards to something, whether it be Tron or otherwise.
100%. Tanuki 91 says, "Is there a documentary about Who Framed Roger Rabbit came to be?" I think that would be an interesting topic to unfold. Oh my, that would be phenomenal. I don't think there is a doc on that, but they should do a doc on that and put it on D+.
Oh, absolutely. And the story is incredible. I mean, to get those rights from Warner Brothers, just that whole kind of thing. I mean, that was a joint venture between, Disney, but Steven Spielberg ran hard on that. He was the one that negotiated the rights for those characters to be used in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the film. And, they had plans for the sequel. Oh my gosh, the sequel. The sequel that could have been to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Have you heard the story before? I
have not. Do tell.
Okay. It was all going to be themed around the opening of Toontown. It was going to be kind of a cross-promotional piece where Walt, Eddie Valiant and Roger Rabbit, they have these kind of adventures to kind of save Toontown, right? Because apparently it's in trouble again. And it just comes to a point where I believe Toontown is going to be destroyed. I think, their efforts, it's going to be dipped, right? But Walt Disney, out of his kind heart, includes an area for Toontown for his little, park project out in Anaheim, right? During its construction, 1954-55. That will include all the tunes. They have a new home in the backside of the park. And hey, we have never opened this up to the public, but in 1993, we are going to finally open this park, a portion of the park up, 1992 or whatever, when that Toontown opened, right? And that's where Walt, he took the beloved characters that didn't have a home and gave them a home in the back of his park. Open for that.
Beautiful.
And they were going to film the construction scenes of Disneyland in Disneyland Paris that was under construction at that time. So it would have all molded perfectly with what the Disney was doing at the time in the theme park space. Oh, it sounded phenomenal. It sounds so good. And it was just we didn't get it because that relationship died.
Sucks. It absolutely sucks. California Dreamin' follows up with, "All I hope is that they rip that trench coat off of Jessica Rabbit when they reopen Toontown. I still wonder if they will upgrade that ride when the land reopens." Here's the thing, and I'm about to get a little toxic. No,
here we go. We're gonna go. There you go.
No, I'm just kidding. But in all realness, though, I think that whole move was kind of silly. I really do. I don't know anyone. I mean, look, if you're a female in the chat and the Jessica Rabbit animatronic offended you in any way, let us know. But I've never heard of anyone that was actually upset over that.
Oh, well, I mean, look, listen, my mother conducts herself with class and distinction, right? She was disappointed that they covered Jessica Rabbit. She was. I mean, it's like, wow, you would have figured that it would have appealed to at least my mother, but apparently that was not the case. I heard from numerous women who were like, not a fan of that. They actually enjoyed seeing Jessica Rabbit, I guess, to varying degrees, and the men did. I mean, and I was just, that was a puzzling move to me. I just don't, I just don't understand it, because I guess I suppose, if breaking this down analytically, it did cover maybe some of the more voluptuous qualities of Jessica Rabbit than the previous ensemble did, let's say, but those qualities still exist, maybe even more profound than before. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish there. And then the whole gloves thing, it's a very weird combination as well. The purple gloves.
Well, and I think the whole kind of thing around it was to cover her up and then make her a detective and kind of make her Disney's mindset was we're going to make her like a strong female character in doing this. But the problem with that is that she already was a strong female character.
Yes.
She was sexy, but she used her looks and everything in ways that she was brilliant, right? She was brilliant.
Yes.
Strong female. Just because you have these voluptuous looks and you're kind of using them to your advantage doesn't mean you're a weak woman. Jessica Rabbit was far from a weak woman. She was not a weak character in the first place. Adding a trench coat to her doesn't make her a strong female. I don't know, in my opinion. But
listen, between Roger and Jessica Rabbit, I always thought Jessica Rabbit took the lead role there in terms of that relationship. Okay, it was. To me, I always thought that Jessica Rabbit was in control of her presence within the film or within this attraction concept. I guess what was kind of at issue was she was tied up behind then just take her out of that sequence. It doesn't quite work because she's got to end up somehow in the warehouse. And I guess that's why they went the detective role if they did. But I don't know. Look, it's
Right.
yeah, like it's just very interesting chat now. It's
are you gonna get toxic on us, right? Are you gonna get toxic?
Look, listen, okay, right? I'm gonna go balls to the walls here. Just because a vulnerable woman doesn't mean weak.
Right.
And I think that is a distinction that I don't think anybody really placed her in, other than maybe people who are maybe within the company who are very hypersensitive to that, maybe overly so. I never thought that was a weak character. I never thought that was necessarily worth investing in when it came to the improvements that could be made to Roger Rabbit. Yet they did, and like you said, OG, I just think it was misplaced.
Yeah, and Natalie's saying here, she's not offensive, but I think putting anyone in a car trunk is offensive, I suppose. Yeah, and you mentioned that, Dre. I mean, that is pretty edgy for a Disney park. I got to be completely real about that. I mean,
sure,
that's a pretty edgy move, but that was also a pretty edgy movie, though.
Yeah.
I think, and then Natalie follows up with, "While on the ride, my 4-year-old would yell boobies."
Well, Jacob Jog D. Yes, Trey, let the toxicity flow through you. Yeah, no, listen, I
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
Exactly right. I understand. I am sympathetic with a notion that she is characterized in an unflattering way to some people.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that I don't think that was the majority opinion, even in that instance. And if you want to go ahead and change that, I think there were creative ways to do so without having to put a big old trench coat over her. That's all I'm saying.
I know. It's kind of silly. Alia says, if the trench coat is in response to surveys, I somewhat understand it. If not, they overreacted. That's an interesting point that she brings up, though. I wonder if they did survey guests and go, what are your thoughts on this? Where you stand with this? And they're responding to that. That's interesting. I don't know the answer to that, but that is interesting.
Well, I want to definitely see changes reflecting the Mona Lisa based on surveys. I consider these attractions as a form of art. I never understood that concept. Oh, well, surveys came out or somebody said something. Now we got to change it. It's like, this is, I don't know. There's a certain intent behind there. And unless it's grossly offensive, I just don't think it's, I think that those efforts could be better spent elsewhere, in my honest opinion. I understand some things have to change, sensibilities and all that. I think the outside of the Disneyland classics and so forth, outside of Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin, I think a lot of changes centered around like Big Red, Little Red when it came to Kilimanjaro Safaris, Disney's Animal Kingdom, right? They depicted a dead Big Red in some versions of that attraction, right? And that was like really kind of like, ooh, that made a lot of kids like, very much react in a strong way, but it was that kind of strong conservationist message that I think Joe Rohde was attempting to imply, like, hey, look, poaching actually happens. This actually exists. Maybe a little bit too dark for regular theme park sensibilities. I'm not sure. So there's always a line there, and I get that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I don't think Jessica Rabbit was it. All I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. California Dreamin' says, so true. My sister loves Jessica Rabbit and never saw an issue with how she looked. I hope they upgrade the ride a little, at least. It's interesting. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of people say that California Dreamin', like females, like the character doesn't bother me. And I've had a couple friends over the years that were female that actually liked that character as well. So I don't know. It's interesting. But
there was a lingerie store centered around Jessica Rabbit in, I think, Pleasure Island or somewhere near there. Not too long ago. It's quite fascinating. I do think that character, yes, okay, whatever. It appeals to men for certain reasons, but I think a lot of women actually took to that character quite a bit, and they had their own reasons to doing so. This idea that we're going to go ahead and maybe cover some of her more feminine qualities. I like I said, I think it's misplaced. I think there was even a lot of women who were, let's say, didn't agree with the move.
Yeah, no, 100%. And to my 2-hour and 13-minute crew, we're going to be wrapping up here. I'm going to read a few more, and then we got to head on out. It was a really, really good conversation today. We dove into some crazy stuff that, like, that's why I love these live shows, because we go into directions we had no idea.
I know.
But when we planned this show today, did you expect that we'd be talking about Jessica Rabbit?
I had no idea. Not any clue whatsoever. We were going to be talking about Toontown. I thought we were going to be talking about some of the aerial photographs or whatever, but we just go off in these different ways. And listen, I think our audience is game. I think they're, and it gives us an opportunity to share maybe some information between the two of us that we wouldn't necessarily be able to in the context of like any video or what. So I think it is beneficial to our viewers as well. Love it.
100%. And Tanisha Burks says it might be with Mickey Mini Runway Railway coming that they are making a more littles friendly area in Toontown. I'm not sure what she means by that. Well, I see what she say. Like the Jessica Rabbit thing, because you're going to have more young ones going for the railway. You want to minimize Jessica because of the influx of little ones, I guess.
I guess. Look, it's a very edgy attraction, right? I think you have the baby character. I think it's Baby Herman. Is that what it is?
Baby Herman
with
smoking
the
a
stogie
cigar
there
and everything.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Still disagree. I wrote that attraction when I was like 2 or 3 or whatever. I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah. And California Dreamin', thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. Comes in with a donation to the channel saying, love the show, guys. Thank you. Well, thank you for joining us. I mean, this only happens because of you guys. Like, we're all in this together. It's a great community. And I appreciate you taking your time. All of you to take your time to spend it with us. It is truly humbling. So thank you, California Dreamin', and thank you everybody for watching too. It really is fun to kind of nerd out and talk about this stuff. Showcase here says from fake grass to straws to Jessica Rabbit. I know, I'm telling you, man.
We're all over the shop tonight, man. It's wild. But hey, listen, we will go wherever the audience takes us. We're free birds like that,
Free birds. Yeah, we're free birds. Natalie says, if I had that body, I would be Jessica Rabbit for Halloween.
Okay. Well, see, there you go. You see, I think the women appreciate this. I don't think they're necessarily as offended as, maybe some people actually suggest that they are. All I'm saying.
No, 100%. I'm gonna tie this into Top Gun Maverick a little bit.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Because I think a lot of these Hollywood studios sort of underestimate people in a lot of ways, right? There's been like this big push, like kind of in Hollywood to kind of like this kind of like undertone of like masculinity is not necessarily a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Top Gun Maverick comes in like just a totally masculine movie and destroys at the box office.
Yeah.
I think that says a lot. And when you're talking about this kind of stuff, or even Jessica Rabbit and things like that, where it's like, I think these Hollywood studios don't really get it in a lot of ways. They don't understand that people are less fragile with this stuff than they think they are. And people can handle stuff. And masculinity is not wrong. There's nothing wrong with being masculine. There's nothing wrong with being an attractive woman with a curvy body. There's nothing wrong with these things. I don't know. And I think that a lot of these Hollywood studios need to understand that and stop being so paranoid when they're with their content. It's kind of getting a little bit off the deep end, a little bit, in my opinion. I don't know, cancel me, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, well, and let's be honest here. There's this kind of feeling in Hollywood that we have to go away from these things and so forth for various reasons, like you said, and it's just Top Gun Maverick, I think, showed to everybody that hey, you have an audience here that has really not been satiated when it comes to content, and in a lot of ways, there hasn't really necessarily been appealed to outright, and it shows that yes, if as long as you construct a film that channels masculinity towards beneficial ends in the way that a movie does, you can absolutely have something that's successful and contemporary, and I think it shows. I think Top Gun Maverick showed, I think, to everybody of quite effectively that you can hit on those points in effective ways and have really a box office star. I think you're right.
100%. And the last comment before we head on out of here is from Tyler, and Tyler is saying there's nothing wrong with masculinity or feminine traits as long as you don't portray it in an overly sexual way. It's fine. The studios are just scared of backlash. Yeah, they're totally scared of backlash.
Yeah,
they're totally scared of backlash. There's nothing wrong with being masculine or being super feminine, but a lot of these studios just, I don't know, they freak out. And I think we're going through a phase right now. I think we'll come out of that. But right now, it's like just really super paranoid, in my opinion.
Alia brings up a good point. Far more, the cast is far more diverse of Top Gun Maverick than the original. I do agree with that. Lady Gaga actually, worked on the score. Yeah, you see, I mean, you could have a contemporary film. Like I said, the song was actually pretty good. You could have a contemporary film that includes what is it? A diverse, I think. What is it? Not just a diverse cast, but a diverse kind of thought process or philosophy behind it, and have it done really effectively in a contemporary way. I think it's absolutely appropriate.
Yeah. And I lied. We have one more comment.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
One more. We got Captain John D. sailing the seven seas. He says here, Top Gun Maverick was needed to turn the tide. Theaters and straightforward action movies void of agendas are just fine in this new world we reside in. Yep. Great point, Captain. I mean, really, Top Gun Maverick has done a lot to turn that tide. You're absolutely right on that. I think Hollywood really sat up and took notice. And you really have to also look at an executive like a Bob Chapek, who is so, and he says it all the time, customer focused. We're going to go where the customer takes us. And when Bob Chapek looks at the success of a Top Gun Maverick that leans into his masculinity, it's kind of a very rah America kind of energy in that movie. They don't really say it, but it is the energy there. I think that a guy like Chapek is looking at that going, okay, this works. It worked for Top Gun. It could work for other kinds of films like that. So
there's definitely a demographic that will take to it, embrace it, and make it a success. So why wouldn't you include them? In terms of your developmental process when it comes to any of these films, I think I think Top Gun showed that you could, and that you'll be rewarded for it. People 100%. Will show up and support your film. I hear about rumors of taking the Captain America character, the Steve Rogers Captain America character, and doing something in regards to that character and changing him and the agenda push with him and so forth. And I'm hopefully they saw what lessons could be learned from Top Gun Maverick and are actually taking that to heart. We'll see.
100%. Well, we're going to wrap up our live show today. It was a really, really fun conversation. Everybody, Alia, Showcase, Tyler, Captain John D, Natalie, Casual, Wildest, we see here, California Dreamin',
Marty,
so many, Joe
Tyler,
in the Land, Michael Ebba, Brandon,
Alia,
everybody, Robert White. It was really, really a fun conversation. Thank you all so much for watching. Dre, it was an honor as always, sir, having you as the my co-pilot, my producer,
Your goose.
sometimes you have so many titles now. It is hard to keep the greatest historian of all time. I think that was added recently. Love you.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
So
That was a good one though. That one really, I think that one, I don't think that one gets enough a screenplay. I really like that.
oh man. Oh gosh. Yeah, that it keeps getting bigger too. It's like, oh yeah, like historian, greatest historian ever. It's like, oh Jesus. Like, oh man, my goodness. Okay, all right. Yeah, Goose died. Okay. I am Rooster. Rooster. There you go. Rooster Lips.
There you go. There you go. Well, if you can let everybody home where they can find you on social media, sir.
Yes. Okay. So, best place to find me is going to be at Fash Guys right down there. You can go ahead and type that into Twitter or into Google. Should pop up either way. Hey, look, listen. Hey, I've been trying to get to 1,000. I've been at this kind of 950 range for years, and I just want to get over it now. I'm so very, very close. So I know we're going to be doing something special for that. Still coming up with ideas, but trust me, folks, it'll be worth it. And hey, if you want to see me, well, it's going to be on the channel you're watching right now at Orange Grove 55 at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juicy news and info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove. Let's do this one right here. There you go.
Perfect. Now, I think Showcase, he says, so how are we going to close the show out tonight?
Yes.
Something to honor George. I think I can see where he's going with this. So I cannot disappoint. Hey, the man asked for it. The man
Speaking
asked
of
for
Jessica
it. Right. Yeah. Speaking of Jessica Rabbit, Showcase asked for it, and I'm going to deliver for the man, and we're going to honor George. So I want to thank everybody for watching, and we'll close you out with some Carl's Jr. Have a great night, everybody.